As we've hit the halfway mark until the chase this NASCAR season, the pressure is surely rising for a few of the sport's biggest names. And today, it's only going to get trickier as the drivers head to the unique setting of Pocono. It's going to be a drama-filled, action-packed day of racing. So drop the green flag and let's get started here on Fox Sports 1.
They're rolling off a pit road, the widest pit road in NASCAR and the widest front straightaway here in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. It's the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on Fox Sports 1. There is the tricky triangle. The drivers roll to the front straightaway. Here's the Geico starting grid. Kurt Busch, third pole of the season. He's a two-time Pocono winner, and so is Carl Edwards. It's a Chevy Toyota front row. Martin Truex, third time. He started third here. Jeff Gordon, his 6 Pocono wins, the most all-time. Kevin Harvick has not yet been a Pocono winner. Austin Dillon, his best starting spot of 2015. Brad Keselowski won here in 2011. Denny Hamlin, 4 Pocono victories. Jimmy Johnson, a 3-time Pocono winner. Kyle Busch, twice. He's been a bridesmaid here, never a bride. Joey Logano, rear-end gear change. He'll go to the rear at the start. Casey Kane has won here twice. Ryan Newman, top 10 in all the last 5 Pocono races. Jamie McMurray, a Pocono best 7th last August. Kyle Larson won the ARCA race and finished 5th here last year. Paul Menard got his 3rd top 10 of the year at Dover last week. Ricky Stenhouse, top 15 last year. Casey Mears, 12th here last August. Matt Kenseth hasn't finished in the top 20 since joining Joe Gibbs Racing at this track. Dale Earnhardt Jr. going for his 3rd straight Pocono victory. That's your top 20.
What do you say we dial up the 3 car? Are you ready to do that yet, or you want to wait? Let's talk to Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon, it's DW. You got a copy, my friend?
Sir, I got you there, Daryl.
Hey, buddy, you got your first top 10 starting spot of the year, and you and Gil Martin, y'all seem to have found something lately. What's turned that thing around for you?
Well, we just wanted to rise the occasion and put this Dow car up front more often. And the last 3 weeks we qualified well. We just haven't got the finishes that we'd like. So hopefully we start this week with finishing off a good starting position.
Well, you got a truck win here, and you've been running a lot of the Xfinity races. Does that seem to be helping you a lot this year?
Yes, sir, I think so. I think the confidence level is high from the Xfinity car, and we've done a lot to just try and do the best we can at taking everything we can each and every weekend. So we're going to work hard today and have a good finish.
All right, my friend, good luck and great qualifying run, and I hope you can get a good finish today.
DW.
You know, one thing that's stepped up his game this year, his brother Ty is in this race, too. You always want to beat your little brother. All right, let's get down to pit road. Matt Yocum.
Martin Truex Jr. has a tremendous amount of confidence and optimism coming into Pocono. The past 3 weeks, he's led 357 laps, still seeking the season's first win and first here at Pocono. But crew chief Cole Pearn thinks they may have the best shot of anybody of beating the 4 of Kevin Harvick. The one concern that Cole has is the wind. It has changed direction, and their car was very sensitive to it in practice on Saturday. Chris Neville?
Matt, Kyle Busch is just in his 3rd race back, and at Charlotte and Dover, he had speed but failed to convert to a strong result. Now he's back at a track that hasn't been kind. He's come in 2nd here, but in the last 3 of the last 6, he hasn't finished those weekends. But this year, there's something different. His crew chief Adam Stevens and him working together for the first time at Pocono. They've had so much success in the Xfinity Series. That could be the game changer today. Jamie?
Well, Chris, this is the first official race where all members of the over-the-wall crews must wear an extra layer of fire retardant material from their underwear to their shirts to the head sock. Now, this is the biggest concern in talking to a lot of the pit crew members. They have to wear these full-face helmets with glasses, with the head sock. The concern is that they're going to fog up, so it's kind of a moving target today. They're going to learn as they go. Another note on the 48 pit crew, the front tire changer out with a hand injury. They have a replacement from the 38 pit crew team. Mike?
Thanks, Jamie. For many years, drivers have worn that balaclava or head sock. It is something new as a requirement for NASCAR's over-the-wall pit crews, as fire is always a concern. This track races a lot like a road course, and so are some of the rules unique to road courses in here. Here is our Fox NASCAR rules analyst, Andy Petrie.
Yes, Mike, there's a rule that's been in place in NASCAR for quite some time that restricts the teams to one transmission per weekend. They can only run the same transmission that they start with and they qualify with, or they have a penalty. There are some exceptions to that. It is road courses and Pocono, because the transmission goes through such a beating at those tracks that they give them one change so they can have a fresh transmission when they start this race. The other thing is, a few weeks ago, they instituted a similar rule for gears, the rear end gear assembly that goes in the rear of the car. They said that that's going to be the same rule as the transmission, that if you change it after qualifying, you have to go to the rear. And that is not, there's not an exception here at Pocono for that. And now Joey Logano had to change his gear after qualifying. He'll have to start in the rear.
Thanks, Andy. Different rear end center section for Logano. Same ratio they had in before. They're not allowed to change that, but new parts and pieces, so he'll go to the back. Let's have a look at our 4 track facts for this uniquely shaped super speedway. Ford Performance, Bill Elliott swept the 1985 Pocono races after starting on pole. Bill won almost everything on the fastest tracks in 1985. And the closest margin of victory in a Sprint Cup race here, 12/100ths of a second. Rusty Wallace was the winner in July of 2000.
Mike, as the cars go by, I remember as a kid sitting in a grandstand, and when those cars would go by, I can't tell you how excited I got. Fans were waving, the guys are waving at you. I mean, it's one of the most exciting parts of the race, watching these cars go by on a parade lap.
3 different corners, 3 different straightaways. Drivers talk about the challenges of Pocono.
Coming to a track that is not identical to others, not conventional for us.
I don't think the preparation's any different. You just got to remind yourself about downshifting and getting your rhythm right.
I look at shift points and how much brake pressure we use at at previous races here.
I spend time watching qualifying. I spend time watching different parts of the race.
Yeah, I try to start training myself to count to 3 instead of count to 4.
Now, Tony Stewart has a unique challenge this weekend. He spun in the first practice session into the inside wall. They trotted out a backup car, but in 2009, Stewart, in a backup car, scored the first ever victory for Stewart-Haas right here.
Yeah, and there's some bumps down in turn 2. We've talked about them a little bit over the tunnel. When Tony went over those bumps, he didn't think they caused his car to spin, but I think it probably did. He just didn't realize. But you can see there that it's just real. The track undulates. It's a wave in the track right there. You can watch them go over there, and you'll see the cars jump around as they cross over those bumps. You can imagine what that's going to feel like at 200 miles an hour.
Now, it's a start of the weekend. I guess it's a lot like finding suddenly a pothole on your street a block from your house. The first time you hit, it's like, whoa, where did that come from? And then after a week, you learn to kind of either drive through it or drive around it, and we'll deal with it.
Yeah, well, the teams have adjusted. The engineers have made shock changes and spring changes to help kind of accommodate that situation.
It is a perfect early summer day in the Poconos. You couldn't ask for a nicer day to go racing.
All 3 days here have been unbelievable. And back to the Tony Stewart, because that backup car was unloaded before qualifying, he qualified this backup car. He gets to start where he actually qualified on Friday.
160 laps. Joey Logano is the only car to the rear. Thanks to Brandon and Nick Nagdowski. They're great hosts here at Pocono. Doc's place, Doc Mattioli's track, as we're ready to race.
And we're coming down here to get the green flag, and the honorary starters got her in the air. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Truex from row 2, challenging Carl Edwards for the lead there.
Well, you said exactly what you said, Mike. On these starts and restarts, they're going to get 3 and 4 wide going down into turn 1.
What'll be interesting is when we get to turn 2, where those bumps that DW was talking about.
Better hang on when you go across there, buddy.
Still triple wide in the back. Harvick side by side there on the inside. That's where they've been running in practice. Nobody's tested that outside line.
No, but I heard a lot of guys, Mike, talking about I may end up running out there because of the bumps. So if cars start to run out and get some rubber down, it might work.
Into the widest front straightaway in all of NASCAR.
There's some runways that's not that long.
There's a lot of them.
3,740 feet. A long way down through there. That's why we shift here.
Jeff Gordon from fourth, up to second behind Edwards. Truex third. Pole sitter Kurt Busch fourth. Then Harvick and Dillon headed for turn 2.
You could actually hear that as it went over that bump, or those bumps.
Kevin Harvick in fifth, Jamie McMurray, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson battle for ninth.
And Mike, some drivers have told me they don't want to shift over the tunnel turn because of the bumps. They just want to leave it in high gear and roll through there as easy as they can and not take any chance on tearing something up.
Much more orderly procession this time by. Back at 21st, the first side-by-side battle. Danica Patrick, David Reagan. A couple others peek out as they hit the entry of turn number 1.
You can get a good bit of draft. These straightaways, as we have noted, are so long that you can really get a draft on the car in front of you and pull up to his back bumper. You see Denny Hamlin here pulling up on the back of Austin Dillon, not able to make the pass, but get right up to him.
6th place at stake here.
Well, I look at Denny Hamlin battling Austin Dillon for 6th here, and I think about his teammate Carl Edwards in that 19 leading this race. What a game the Toyota camp has made in the last 4 to 6 weeks. We were talking about them in the beginning, but not about leading races.
No, they were complaining. All of them were about being down on power, and it showed on the racetrack every time we get to a straightaway. Rick Hendrick told me this is a racetrack dyno. This is where you can tell who's got the power and who doesn't. But these long straightaways, well, that was what the Toyota guys were suffering with. Just didn't have any straightaway speed, no horsepower. They fixed that.
Joey Logano is our biggest mover. He had to start in the back because of their rear end center section change. Moving up next to Michael Annett. Logano plus 10.
I talked to Cole Pern and that crew yesterday. Martin Truex Jr. that 78 car said he was so happy with that race car yesterday. He said, you know what? We're going to be just fine tomorrow.
And it's not unusual, Mike, to see guys that maybe fall back a little bit on the start. You got the pressures in the tires really, really low. Have to wait for those pressures to come up to get max grip before you can really start to move forward again.
They're ganging up on Austin Dillon. 300 cars, nose to tail there. And now Earnhardt sweeps up high alongside Casey Kane. Behind Jimmy Johnson, and second place changes hands. Martin Truex. Johnson and Kane move up.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88, he's made a nice move since the start of this race because he qualified in 20th, and now he's up to 12th, trying to do something that only 2 other drivers have ever accomplished here. Win 3 in a row. The other 2, Bobby Allison and Tim Richmond.
Carl Edwards completes his 5th lap out front. Started outside pole and took the lead in turn 1 as Martin Truex battled pole sitter Kurt Busch for position.
You watch these guys, Mike, they come up off turn 1 and about where the 48 or the 24 and the 4 are right now. That's about where you grab a gear.
Now, this is on Kyle Larson's 42 car. This is the right rear. This is the shock absorber. That shaft right there will tell you a lot about the movement. Now, watch him as he goes through turn 2, through those bumps, how much movement it gets.
It's just violent.
It's quick, but it's violent.
Yeah, it's real violent.
And, Mike, to your point about the drivers adjusting and teams adjusting, I heard Darrell talking about it in the pre-race. Kurt Busch said it best. You had to be careful not to get too aggressive with adjustments just for that small section of the track because you could mess up the car for all the other corners.
Yeah, it's almost like, and this is almost like contradiction. You got to put those bumps out of your mind. They're there. They're not going to go away. And so complain about them or worrying about them isn't going to help anything. Just deal with it and worry about the rest of the racetrack.
Kevin Harvick closes on Jeff Gordon, decides not to make that move right there.
What he's trying to do, he backed off a little early. He wants to get a run on this little short shoot here and try to maybe get under Jeff. Jeff's going to move down. He sees that Kevin is a little, Harvick's quicker. He's going to give him the outside and let him go.
Should not come as a surprise to see Kevin Harvick moving forward. He's won everything there is to win here this weekend, except final round of qualifying.
Martin Truex has erased half of Carl Edwards' lead. He's now 3/4 of a second behind. Laps complete at Pocono. There's the newly reconfigured entrance tunnel to the infield, located at turn 2, right adjacent to the roadway. All beautifully redone.
They've done a lot of work here, Mike, through the last 3 or 4 years of improvements all over the speedway.
Big solar farm among the improvements. Carl Edwards has led these first 11 laps. Also been watching Joey Logano move up 15 positions. And now let's go to Matt Yoakum for the Nationwide Dale Jr. Performance Report.
Mike, a misstep in qualifying relegated Dale Jr. to start 20th today. He was quiet pretty much early on, but then he told Greg Ives he's already started using the track bar. The track a little bit rougher as far as the field today, and the track bar did not help. The car is still on the freeze side, but a lot of confidence coming in, knowing their car was probably the class of the field in the first practice on Saturday, and they were still pretty good when the temperatures came up.
Earnhardt is 11th after starting 20th. The last 4 laps of this race, Kevin Harvick has had the fastest lap of all cars and gained almost a second on the leader.
Yeah, you watch him here. He goes down into turn 1. You saw him catch 3rd gear. That just gives you that little bit of acceleration up off the corner there to get you started down that back straightaway. Now, along here somewhere, it's this driver preference. He'll catch high gear back to 4th. Now, Harvick is one of the ones that has not been shifting over the tunnel. He leaves it in 4th gear. Feels like he can make better time there than fooling around trying to shift gears. Then when he gets over here to turn 3, we'll see it's optional with him. Sometimes he'll catch 3rd gear, and sometimes he got 3rd there. And they'll use that power to accelerate forward to get up off the corner. So it's kind of fun for a driver because it's not what we do every week. So it makes it kind of fun. And you play around with the gears. I'm going to shift. I'm going to do an early shift. I'm going to do a late shift. I'm going to shift here. You kind of play around with that all day long, trying to figure out the maximum optimum place to get most power.
And the name of the game off all 3 of these corners is acceleration. What will get you down to the next corner the best?
Well, it's more critical. I think Larry will agree. It's more critical this year because of less power. Boy, I tell you what, my man, Martin Truex Jr., he was thinking about getting by right there. He's looking.
That was a prime passing spot. Gets that big run.
I think Carl will probably give it. He sees that Martin Truex in his 78's a little quicker. He fights back on the outside.
But look, company's coming with that 4 car. Kevin Harvick back there lurking.
I think Harv's sitting back there watching. Let me see what these 2 guys are going to do. Let them sort this out amongst themselves, and then I'll take them both.
14 laps complete. Fastest part of the track is right before the entry of turn 1 here.
Right there, sort of in the middle of the corner, really. You'll catch 3rd gear. You don't want to do it going in necessarily because it upsets the car a little bit. So you kind of want the car to kind of roll to the middle, then catch 3rd gear, and then have that power to get off.
Now, this straightaway is 3,000 feet. Again, one of the longest straightaways in our sport. Speed builds to 195 miles an hour before slowing for turn 2 there.
Looks like the 78 car Truex a little bit better over those bumps in the tunnel. He gets right up on Carl's back bumper, but not quite there yet. Looking, can't make the pass.
Can't get much lower than that.
No, he's down on that yellow line, and now he's got him. Set him up perfect. Now you'll see him, he'll run away, way over to the left there to get away from any side draft or anything. Clean air. Then when he gets down here to the corner, he'll swing back out and down into that corner. And just like I was thinking, Kevin's waiting. Harvick was waiting for those guys to sort it out amongst themselves.
Ooh, Truex got loose, Darrell, as he got back to the gas.
Might have been that shifting day. Right where he shifted, he may have upset the car just a little bit.
So Carl Edwards gives up 1st and 2nd place. Everything okay there, Jamie?
Yeah, I talked to Darian Grubb this morning for Carl Edwards, and he told me the most laps they ran at one time was 9 in practice, and he said the speed was good, but after that they didn't know what they had. Here we go. We're seeing an indication of the fall off just a bit, and they also thought thought their strong point was over the tunnel turn, but obviously not as good as the guys who just passed him. So watch for some adjustments coming on the 19. Matt?
Why everyone picked the 4 car of Harvick is the car to beat today, because his balance through all 3 corners, even with the bumps in turn 2, were exceptional. The issue for Harvick and the 78 of Martin Truex, both cars are on the free side. Harvick's biggest issue, early entry into turn 1. It's just way too free.
And Mike, look, our first 4 cars, 53.05, 53.09, 53.07, 53.02, they're running the same speed.
Meanwhile, back at 15th place, Darrell, there's Austin Dillon. He's may give up a spot to Matt Kenseth, who started 17th. Dillon has faded back from 6th to 50th. Yep. Larry, at this point in the race, 17 laps into this first run, what kind of feedback do you want to be hearing from your driver?
Well, we're halfway through this run, Mike, and so I need to know, breaking down each of those 3 corners that you spoke about, what it's doing in each one, because I want to make sure I don't help one corner and hurt another. So it's a little bit of a compromise, even on the adjustments.
So how are you in Trenton? How are you in Milwaukee? And oh, by the way, how are you in Indianapolis?
Martin Truex Jr.
You're watching Fox Sports 1 NASCAR.
Keep up with Miss Sprint Cup on Twitter. Check out her latest tweets and find out how you can win an autographed hat from today's race winner. Or follow Miss Sprint Cup on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for lots of behind-the-scenes access inside the Sprint Cup Series. Brad Keselowski has pitted from 7th place after just 20 laps, Matt.
Pitting early now. Brad's biggest issue is the car was tight in all the centers of all 3 corners, and he had a four-wheel drift and free on exit of the 2 car. Air pressure change trying to fix that as well, and left side wedge. The window shouldn't open up, Mike, for about another 6 or 7 laps.
So an early stop for Keselowski. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is our biggest mover. He just passed Jamie McMurray for 7th. All right, he's our second biggest mover because Joey Logano started last and has picked off 19 cars on his way to the front. Logano was 24th. Earnhardt is now 7th. Tony Stewart +8, as is McMurray.
Remember the contrarians, Paul Wolfe and Brad Keselowski. He came out. The 2 came out in front of our leader by a good bit, so he didn't lose a lap. And it'll be interesting to see how this strategy plays as we go into the race.
Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon has been the fastest car on the track in 6 of the last 7 laps as he passes Carl Edwards and takes over 3rd.
Yeah, back to the strategy of Paul Wolfe and Brad Keselowski in the 2. Because this track is so big and it takes so long to get around it, if you're up near the front, you can make a green flag pit stop and stay on the lead lap. What they have done by pitting right there, you heard Matt Yoakum talk about the window opening. They now have this down to a 3-stop race. You can see right there how far he came out in front of the leader, Martin Truex Jr. in that 78.
Perhaps the same strategy for Kyle Busch, who's on pit road now.
It's turned into the same strategy like we run a road course, just where we'll be in 2 weeks at Sonoma.
Yeah, that's really that's how you call a race here, just like you run a road course.
Chris?
Mike, Kyle Busch was very happy with his race car on a cloudy Friday, but when the sun came out on Saturday, they really lost the handle with that race car. Just in these opening 23 laps, he's saying that car way too loose. Matt?
And the 22 of Joey Logano started 11th. He was free in traffic, and then he had the four-wheel drift through the center of turn 1, and then on exit, Joey says the biggest corner that he has an issue with, the tunnel turn. Not because of the bumps, it's just because he's dealing with such a tight race car through that section of the corner. Wedge and air pressure for Logano.
Jeb Burton and Denny Hamlin join the march to pit road. Chris?
Mike, Denny Hamlin up a couple spots from the start. Now, all weekend long, he's been complaining that the 11 car just way too loose into turn 3. His crew chief, Dave Rogers, definitely making improvements there. But right now, at the beginning of this race, he's just complaining he can't get off turn 3 down this very long straightaway.
The other thing that buys you by short pitting, should those drivers that pitted, like Keselowski, Logano, Busch, and Hamlin, if a caution comes out, most of the leaders will make a pit stop, and they'll have that track position.
Now, Brad Keselowski was 7.5 seconds behind when he pitted. He was able to stay on the lead lap. Joey Logano, too fast exiting pit road.
Well, there goes all that hard work.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in, along with J.J. Yaley.
Yeah, because the drive-through penalty that Logano will have to do down pit road at 55 miles per hour, he will now go down a lap, and they are already putting several other drivers a lap down.
Matt?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. hit the top 10 even before the lap 20 mark. Jr. says the car loose on throttle, the exit of turn 2, the tunnel turn. That's really the only problem he has. The car is pretty decent everywhere else. Just 4 tires of fuel, slight air pressure change for Dale.
Martin Truex Jr. continues to lead. He's led 10 laps now. Carl Edwards led the first 14. So 24 complete. Larry, if they go an entire fuel and tire run, when would we expect Truex in?
I would say starting about lap 30. If whoever doesn't short pit, we'll see them about lap 30 to lap 34. There you see Logano doing his pass through. Jimmy Johnson in the 48 making his first green flag stop.
Jamie.
And remember, there's a new crewman, the front tire changer, Kevin Novak, borrowed from pit crew 38 today. That was a last-minute change. There was a hand injury there. Car has been good, a 4-tire change here. They'll fill him up with Sunoco fuel. Hitting his marks, they like the lap time so far.
Eric Almirola in. Varying strategies of when to pit, how long to stay out, coming into play in this very first segment of green flag racing.
And can you believe the 78 for like the 4th race in a row out front leading laps?
And it has led to most laps the last 3 races, Kansas, Charlotte, and Dover.
Exactly.
And he'd only led 11 laps in 18 Pocono races prior to today. Talking about Martin Truex.
And he gave that car that he ran at Kansas and Charlotte and Dover, he gave it a rest. This is a brand new piece they got here today that looks like it's pretty good.
Jamie?
And Jamie McMurray making his way down. He said it's tight in the middle and off of turn 1, and he tries to use that track bar, but it's not helping on board. It's making him too loose. He's in and out. Meanwhile, the 27 of Paul Menard in his box working on the left side here. A 4-tire stop. They filled him up with fuel. Good stop for Paul Menard.
Clint Boyer is in. We note that Joey Logano's now had his 3rd speeding penalty of the year. Logano had only 1 all of last season. You're riding with Kevin Harvick down pit road.
Yeah, I think over these next 2 or 3 laps, we'll see a bunch of drivers on pit road trying to get there just in case that caution comes out. Matt.
6 top 5s here at Pocono for Kevin Harvick, the most of any racetrack that he has not won. Now, we told you earlier his biggest hindrance was down in turn 1. You can see a chassis adjustment already completed on the floor of Harvick, whose car was on the free side, Chris.
Matt, some drivers have been complaining about the bumps over in turn 2. Kyle Larson, one of the drivers, has just kind of shrugged his shoulders this week and says it gives the place character, doesn't mind it at all. But in the opening 30 laps of this race, he's saying the 42 car just way too loose.
Biffle and Stenhouse both in. Paul Menard too fast exiting in every segment after his pit box.
And that's a lot of segments, which tells me their tack is off.
Yep. Martin Truex, the leader, is in. So is Jeff Gordon, who gives up 2nd place to pit. Here comes Kurt Busch as well, Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon having a solid weekend. Started off great on Friday, qualified 4th, and then yesterday they were kind of all over the map. But today in the race, they've been happy. A 4-tire stop, and they'll fill him up with fuel, man.
The leader on pit road, Martin Truex Jr. They were debating whether to go with chassis adjustment. They're just going to go air pressure on the 78. Another new race car bringing their best to the track. And he's away. New cars this week and the next 2 weeks following.
Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, Sam Hornish, Tony Stewart are in. So is Justin Allgaier and A.J. Allmendinger. Carl Edwards, your leader. The first 7 drivers have yet to make their stops. And Larry, to your point, Paul Menard came down pit road to serve his penalty at pit row speed and sped through every single segment. Now he's going to have to do a stop and go.
The tack is set wrong. What they're going to have to do is back the RPM way down, but because they can't reset the tack.
One thing that's something's bothering me here, though, Larry. We're getting a lot of too fast exiting penalties down here. A lot of the pit boxes, a lot of drivers look over to their left. They see the end of pit wall. They see the last pit, and they have a tendency to want to speed up. That's where some of these guys are getting caught.
Section 6 on pit road is where Matt Kenseth was just busted for speeding. Darrell, each week they are told in the driver's meeting pit road speed runs from yellow line at the beginning to yellow line at the end. But that line's painted on the racetrack, and I agree. It can be hard to see.
It's instinctive, though. I mean, you're going. You're at pit road speed, and all in an instant there you think, okay, I'm out of the pits, and you're not.
Jamie?
Carl Edwards in that very first pit box when you enter pit road. No drama in that pit box, as they told me. Carl said he was a little bit tight through the center of the tunnel, turn and a little tight off all 3 corners. So they want to make an adjustment. He led early and faded slightly, and he's down.
Casey Kane is the new race leader, employing what we'd now call a contrarian strategy of running out the entire tank of Sunoco race fuel. Austin Dillon's in, Cole Witt, Danica Patrick, Casey Mears, and Menard for the 3rd time doing the stop and go. David Reagan's in as well.
Yeah, this is about right in a normal pit window right here. 30 to 34 laps is what I think they can go on a tank of fuel, unless they want a short pit like we've seen some of them do here already.
Yeah, I think what's getting these drivers in trouble on pit road, it's a very long pit road. And there are 11 segments that they have to travel through, and I think that's what's getting them in trouble. Paul Menard being the exception, I think, with the tack issue.
Only one driver has not pitted, and that's your new leader, Casey Kane. He's going to run at least one more lap here.
Yeah, again, I think you can go 34 laps, and you can go 39 if it's the end of the race. I love it when you ask how far are you going for you. Oh, we only go 34, and then when there's like 38 or 39 to go at the end, well, we might be able to save enough to make it.
We can make it. Things will cycle around differently. Once Kane stops, Kevin Harvick will be the leader. When Martin Truex pitted, he had half a second on Harvick, who had stopped 1 lap prior. Paul Menard with problems.
Left front tire looks like it's down.
And with that going on, I hope they're calling Casey Kane to pit road pit now, which he's actually at the entrance of pit road.
Well, Larry, he's down and off the apron. That may not bring out a caution. We'll see. Jamie?
Casey Kane saying he's a little bit loose and a little bit tight. Very encouraged all weekend long by the speed in this race car. You just saw the wedge adjustment there and a 4-tire stop. Meanwhile, the 27 is in to fix that tire.
They'll make it to the pits, and we stay green. Menard will make it in. One other point, Darrell, in 2012, this race had 24 speeding penalties.
And again, what Larry was saying, and it's true as a driver's perspective, this is such a big, wide pit road. So long that you just lose your focus, lose your concentration.
And then it's so long to being on the lead lap. Kevin Harvick is your leader after 32 laps. 35 laps complete. Here's a look at the in-lap, the pit stop, and the out-lap combined for that green flag pit stop sequence.
Yeah, and one name you do not see in the top 5 would be Martin Truex Jr. in the 78. He's running second right now, about 3 3/4 seconds behind Kevin Harvick. But we've seen this a lot. They were 8th on this list is the reason they're not there. They seem to continue to have issues on pit road. But what this is the 2 laps, including the trip to pit road for that green flag pit stop.
That's what helped put Kevin Harvick in the lead over Truex by 3.7 seconds. Kyle Busch had a great pit stop cycle, second fastest, but he's in 9th place. Why?
I'm getting killed in the tunnel. I can't get over the bumps in the tunnel today. Mostly loose all the way through one.
You know, Mike, I might just wonder if the bumps are, you know, with his injuries he has, if those bumps are aggravating his feet and his legs when he hits those bumps, because they are very violent. The car shakes really hard when you hit them.
You saw how loose he was off the corner there. Oops. Chris?
Mike, I talked with Kyle Busch's crew chief Adam Stevens about that this morning, about the injuries and how Kyle is doing. He said, really, Kyle's recovery has been remarkable. He hasn't been complaining about his feet or his legs at all the last 3 weekends. He said the one thing he just noticed is, you know, just having that stamina in races. He gets out of the car, he's a little bit tired, more so than he has been in past years, but that's something that's just going to take time. But when it comes to the injuries, he hasn't shown any pain.
Thanks, Chris. We had a quick shot of J.J. Yaley's car making a geyser on pit road, overheating. Here's the Joe Gibbs Toyota order.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that's giving him a big problem, but it could be something that these bumps are something we don't deal with every week. It could be affecting him a little bit.
And remember, Matt Kenseth had that pit road speeding penalty. That's one reason he's so far down in the running order right now in that 20 car.
Penalties so far on pit road. Twice for Paul Menard on his pass-through penalty trip down pit road. He was also too fast. Darrell, there are a lot of conspiracies here in the Pocono, but all three of these are yellow cars.
Well, the cameras and the devices pick up yellow cars better than they do the other colored cars. How's that?
You know, I saw the grid walk, and I don't know. I've read a lot about Sasquatch. I think I saw one once, but I thought he'd be a whole lot taller than your brother.
My brother's pretty tall.
That Sasquatch wasn't.
I'm not going to say anything about Sasquatch, I can tell you that.
Back real quick.
He will fit in this booth, I know that.
Back real quick to those pit road speeding penalties. There's no pattern that I see there either, because we know Paul Menard must have a tack issue. But when you look at Matt Kenseth in the 20, he's pitting near the entrance of pit road. Joey Logano in the 22 is pitting way down toward the exit of pit road. So there's no pattern as to why those three cars all had penalties.
Sure there is.
Too fast on pit road.
No, they're all yellow.
Hey, Mike Joy and I will figure out a reason.
You want a conspiracy theory, we'll find
Where are your people?
I was on US 44 going from Lime Rock West, and here comes this thing across a field at a high rate of speed. Wasn't a horse, wasn't a giraffe. It was big, it was tall, and it was fast. It wasn't your brother either. Coca-Cola and NASCAR invite you to show your support and appreciation for our servicemen and women around the world. Each time you use the hashtag #ShareASalute in a message to thank service members on social media now through July 5th, Coca-Cola and NASCAR will donate $1 to the USO. See the steeple there at Pocono atop the grandstand? There are two of those because Dr. Rose Mattioli, Dr. Joe's wife, went to Churchill Downs and liked the look and said, what could we do like that here? And they did.
This place has a lot of history. Dating back to Bill France Sr. and his relationship with Dr. Mattioli and the family here, and having two races. There's a lot of history that goes into this racetrack, and they've made a lot of improvements in this place over the last few years too.
Looking at Brad Keselowski there in 7th place. Michael, the Penske cars both pitted early.
Yeah, and I love that, especially for Brad Keselowski. He was running outside the top 10 when he came to pit road. They stopped early. I think they surprised a lot of people with that move to pit road so early, and he's taken advantage of it and propelled himself up inside the top 10. Look for them to do the same thing again and get that track position. You run faster on new tires. It was a gamble, but we've seen that certainly Paul Wolf and that crowd aren't scared of gambling.
But Larry, explain why that making the first stop early can work.
What they did, they've run this race backwards as far as their fuel window. Looks like to me, Mike, they can probably go about 35 laps on a tank of fuel. So they pitted at lap 20 to Michael's point. They're going to go to lap 55, lap 90, and lap 125, and that should be there. I talked about it at the top of the show. My last trip to pit road, I'm going to say, depending on cautions, they should be on pit road for the last time, which is lap 125.
So that's where you run a road race. You break it, if it's 90 laps, pit every 30 laps. I mean, you break it down to where you get yourself in a window that you don't, you come in at the end of the race, and you don't have to come back when maybe some of the other people do.
Kevin Harvick out in front of Martin Truex by 3.6 seconds. That gap is not moving up or down very much. And we have word on Paul Menard's flat tire after he went back out on the racetrack. Goodyear had a look at the wheel and tire and determined that a loose lug nut came in contact with a valve stem, breaking it and causing that tire to have a sudden air loss.
Yeah, the same tire compounds and design that we run here last year. So this is a good durable tire, makes good grip, it wears well. It's a good tire for this racetrack.
Happy birthday to Justin Allgaier, currently 26th for Harry Scott Motorsports.
You know what birthday present he wants right now? A caution, because he's the first driver a lap down that would get the free pass.
Yeah, I was just telling Larry, Mike, we don't see this many cars a lap down this early, but I think it's because of the long green that we've had, no caution, and these pit stops have really separated the field more than normal.
"25 cars on the lead lap. In the midst of those, in 16th is Austin Dillon. Now, he started well up in the top 10, but he's been having some big slides like this one.
Oh, yeah, the car just got a little bit loose with him right there, and he had to catch it, and it went up the track with him. I saw right from the get-go, the car didn't look like it was real comfortable to drive early on when we started this race, and it's got much better. They need to do some work on that thing.
Kevin Harvick has come to the lead after winning every practice session earlier in the weekend. Is Harv the man to beat here? Caution is out at Pocono after 49 laps. When Paul Menard cut down that left front tire, it damaged the splitter. That has now come off the car. It's sitting on the front straightaway. That's a pretty substantial piece. You wouldn't want to run over that at speed, so caution is out. Last week at Dover, we had 75 miles of green flag racing to start the race. This week, 122 miles or 49 laps. David Reagan gets the free pass on this first caution today. No candles, no presents for Justin Allgaier. Sorry.
Reagan blew out his candles.
When they built Pocono in the 1960s, they reached back to the turn of the century for inspiration. Trenton Speedway in New Jersey, built in 1900. They raced there till 1980, was one of those inspirations. And its corners provided turn one. It was an oval. The dogleg was added later. Go on up to turn 2 and you'll find a 90-degree left turn, much like at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And come around to turn 3, and that's that long, flat expanse, just like at the Milwaukee Mile. All 3 of these racetracks opened before World War I.
This track
still in use.
This track almost didn't exist. At a lunch in New York, Bill France Sr. wrote this on a business card and gave it to Doc Mattioli. On the plains of hesitation lie the bleached bones of millions who, when within the grasp of victory, sat and waited, and waiting died. He gave that to Doc Mattioli on a card. Doc Mattioli said, "I get the message," came home and finished the track.
Now, pit road is open. Kevin Harvick in the 4 is going to hit pit road. He's going to bring some drivers with him, which actually Jamie Keselowski's in as well.
Yes, a whole handful decided to come and adjust on their race cars. Changing conditions, little cloud cover now. Carl Edwards saying little tight center, chattering the right rear. Track bar, air pressure adjustment, and 4 tires for Carl Edwards, Matt.
And Kevin Harvick said his biggest issue, the car's still on the free side. You can see they're making the chassis adjustment now in the right corner. He said the biggest issue is when he goes down into turn 1. Meanwhile, the 78 Truex, they're going to go right side tires only. And the 41 of Kurt Busch, he needed to make a chassis adjustment and air pressure change. They called off the chassis adjustment. The car just not there balance-wise, still on the free side.
Well, this time his team gave him the lead. Martin Truex takes 2 tires. He comes out first ahead of Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick, and Ryan Newman. We're under caution at Pocono.
Live here at Pocono Raceway, along with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, a check on the Budweiser race summary. And you see 36 cars on the lead lap. Carl Edwards, who won at Pocono 10 years ago, his first ever race at Pocono, started from 29th back then. And when he led the early laps in this race, as we welcome you inside Martin Truex Jr., your leader, 165 miles away from his hometown in New Jersey. And let's talk about Truex, because his 13 laps led today, more than he's led in all of the Pocono races before in his career. That would be 18 prior combined.
It seems like everywhere we go, we talk about record amounts of laps led for Martin Truex Jr. This team is ready to win. Today could very well be the day. He loves his car. I heard a little bit of chatter on the radio. He thinks he might be one adjustment away from getting it just like he needs it over the tunnel. So if he makes that adjustment, he could have some company for Kevin Harvick.
And all weekend, Kevin Harvick in the Budweiser car, the 4 very fast, has never won here. In fact, in the previous races, he's only led 10 laps. He looks like the one one to beat, clearly.
Yeah, I think he is the one to beat, but there are going to be some challengers. Look at Ryan Newman. He's charged up inside the top 5. The Hendrick cars, they're so good. Small adjustments could get them in the game. The only car that's struggling that really surprised me so far is Carl Edwards. He's really fallen off the pace.
Yeah, and 2 wins this year, but 7 second-place finishes for Kevin Harvick, and trying to chase the leader down, Truex with Kane in between. Let's head back upstairs to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Thanks, Chris. Getting ready for the restart. 11 drivers took the wave around to get back on the lead lap.
And, buddy, it took them all the way to right now. They just caught up to the rear of the field as we're coming back to green.
Yeah, most notably, Joey Logano in that 22 car. He was one of those 11 drivers.
Truex on the outside, Casey Kane inside as they fan out behind the 2 leaders who jostle for the lead entering 1.
Well, Truex sailed that thing down in there, man, and cleared Casey Kane to get back to the lead.
And Jeff Gordon got shuffled way back.
Yeah, he got pushed up into loose stuff and really lost a lot of positions right here.
He's back to 12th right now.
Under attack from the 18 car, and I think Kyle was sticking his nose in there.
There we saw a lot of double wide through the tunnel turn.
Have to.
Yes.
Don't want to. Have to.
Jeff Gordon restarted 5th and got kicked back to 12th. 3rd place, Harvick, Newman, Johnson, Edwards.
How about that 31 car? I mean, that's a great run for Ryan Newman. He and Todd Parrott, nice move, guys.
Yeah, they changed just right side tires on that stop, just like Martin Truex Jr. in the 78 and Casey Kane in the 5.
I think that's a good move. I mean, they didn't need a lot of fuel, and we don't know what 2 tires will do, but I think based on what we've seen here with this tire, I think it'll work just fine.
Now, Jimmy Johnson had position to the inside. Got a pretty good run off the corner and takes the spot from Newman.
Yeah, you go down low like that to kind of break the draft. You want to get that side draft. You want to get away from that car so it doesn't slow you down when you try to make the pass. You want to draft up to him, go low, and then make the pass.
Now, Joey Logano, that strategy we talked about. He took the wave around, which put him back on the lead lap. And then after they'd run a lap or 2 under green, he comes to pit road, makes him stop. And look, he comes out in front of the leaders, so he gets his pit stop, and he gets back on the lead lap.
And his window open to make it on 2 stops from here, lap 55.
And he's got his fingers crossed he wasn't speeding.
And he's in a yellow car.
And here comes some more of them.
Let's go back and have a look at the restart. We're under green at 56 of 160 laps right now. Now watch the 24 of Jeff Gordon, the blue car.
He's up on the outside there. He's alongside of Carl Edwards.
3 wide into the corner. Gordon on the outside. That's the bad side.
Yeah, he just gets, I mean, I think the air off the 2 of Keselowski may have just got Jeff Gordon a little loose, slid up the hill and lost a lot of spots.
Went to the bottom, your 3 wide top.
Car just wouldn't turn.
3 wide middle, clear high, still inside.
Jamie, what's Jeff saying about the car now?
And Jeff Gordon lost 7 spots there, and he said, guys, the car just went straight. So, Darrell, exactly what you said, and it's a shame. He's happy with this car. They've been adjusting on it. It's good, just not a good restart.
Nope. Denny Hamlin just made the wildest move of the race, a top-to-bottom shot entering the corner to gain spots.
See here, Kyle Larson getting a run on Jeff down the back straightaway.
Larson grabs a gear, makes the pass.
And moves on.
Now watch the 11 of Hamlin. He's way up on the outside behind that red and black car. He and Kyle Busch. Whoa! Elevator drop. Chris?
All right, Denny Hamlin pretty happy with the 11 car prior to that last pit stop. He said, guys, this car is pretty well balanced. If anything, if it would just rotate a little bit better in the center of 2 and in the center of turn 3, he said we could pick up the pace there a little bit. But right now, that 11 car is fast.
It rotates good on the straightaway, I can tell you that.
Kevin Harvick into 2nd over Casey Kane. He's now 1 second behind Martin Truex.
Well, the 4 car, Kevin Harvick, he took 4 tires. And so I think he's got maybe a little bit of advantage. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you got the best race car in the field. You got a solid pit crew that's going to be mistake-free. Why not take 4? Because now he's moved up into the 2nd spot.
At the tunnel turn, we just saw Greg Biffle battle Danica Patrick side by side over the tunnel for 17th place. Here's a look.
Now let's see it. We haven't seen a lot of passes on the outside over the tunnel turn. Danica gives Greg Bevel just enough room to squeeze by on the outside. So you can make that work. It's not recommended, but you can make it work.
There has to be a little give and take on the driver you're trying to make it work with.
Got on the inside, the tippy toe in there.
Jeff Gordon trying to move back up there and away from those cars. Matt?
Now, Mike, the previous run, Danica Patrick was telling Daniel Knaus that the more and more she ran, the car was more out of the racetrack, and that problem really magnified under braking, especially. The car just way too tight. Now, he did make an air pressure change, especially on the left side, trying to open up the stagger. Now, after that stop, she's saying the car, they didn't make any adjustments. She's saying the car is much, much better balanced where she would like it.
And remember, our pole setter, Kurt Busch, he gave Daniel Knaus, he gave him a nice compliment of saying, look, we were messed up when we got here. We put the setup that we ran here last year with Daniel, and that's what won us the pole. So he knows how to get a car set up for this racetrack.
And Kurt is still in the top half dozen, running in 6th. Austin Dillon's making a stop at lap 60, 100 laps to go. There's a look at Kurt, who restarted 8th. Jeff Gordon is coming back. I mean, he just went to the inside of Kyle Busch. That's for 11th place. He's 9 seconds behind the leaders.
Yeah, because it wasn't that long ago Kyle Larson in his 42 you're riding with went by Jeff Gordon, but now Kyle Larson working on Kyle Busch in the 18. That's a battle for 12.
That tells me, Larry, that the air pressures must have been really, really low in that 24 car. When he hit that first turn, the car just wouldn't turn. Now the pressures are building, and he's starting to come back.
And the good news, that's something that Alan Gustafson can make an adjustment on for the next trip to pit road.
Yeah, and it's not something you'd want to do if we have a late race caution here. You might not want those pressures quite that low.
So Gordon restarted 5th, fell back just out of the top dozen. And if he can make the pass on Ryan Newman, he'll be back up into the top 10.
Car's really, that tells me that car's 24 car's really getting across that tunnel turn good. It gives him a nice shot down that short chute. He was able to pass Ryan Newman and move on.
Kevin Harvick trying to chase down Martin Truex Jr. Just 0.6 of a second separate them. "65 laps complete, Martin Truex leading. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, proudly supporting our military for 100 years. Show your support for our troops. There's a great charity auction going on at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR. Each week, look for the Race Day Advance Auto Parts Driver Spotlight. Today, Race Day caught up with Kyle Larson, driver the number 42, and you can catch Race Day next Sunday morning, 11:30 Eastern Time, here on Fox Sports 1. His teammate just made a pit stop from 14th place. Here's Jamie McMurray back on track.
Yeah, I get a feeling the drivers that we've seen make stops here recently, like including Austin Dillon in the 3 right in front of McMurray, also Ryan Newman, Clint Boyer, they cannot go quite as far on fuel as like Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. So by making this green flag stop now, they are in the window of 2 more stops to get to the end.
I also think this one car, they were in a bunch of traffic right there, Larry, with a lot of cars that he was having trouble getting around. I think they decided we're not going anywhere. We're locked up here in this pack of cars. Let's come in and get out of traffic and get in some clean air.
Now McMurray and Newman are still on the lead lap, but not by much. Martin Truex Jr. sees his lead disappear as he begins to work race traffic. Kevin Harvick is there. Between them, they've led 49 of the 67 laps today.
That kind of makes sense, Mike. You think about 4 tires versus 2. The 2 tires will hold on for a little while, but then the 4 are going to prevail in the end.
Now, Casey Kane was the last driver to make that stop in that opening long green flag sequence. He's 3rd, while his Hendrick Chevrolet teammate Jimmy Johnson runs 4th. Carl Edwards started outside pole and led the first 16 laps, still in the top 5. And our pole sitter Kurt Busch got shuffled on the start, back to 4th. He's currently in the top half dozen.
His 2 wins came from front row starts here, Kurt Busch, and he started on a pole today. Race ain't over yet.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. 7th right now, and Denny Hamlin, you saw the bold move he made to get to 8th. Oh, Ricky Stenhouse.
Trouble on the right front, looked like.
Second caution of the day. Lap 69. Stenhouse was 17th, and he pounded the wall.
Boy, he did.
Eric Almirola will get the free pass. 26 cars on the lead lap.
I got really sideways down the back straightaway, and it lost all brakes going in the tunnel.
Sound like there was some contact made between he and
Stenhouse trying to make a pass here. That's Casey Mears, the 13 just ahead. Now this is going into the tunnel turn.
Yeah, what he did was he was going to try to dive under the 13 right there, and the 13 kind of came down in front of him. Looks like he got on the brakes to stay off the back of the 13 of Mears, and it got him loose and into the wall. You'll see here he's going to cut to the bottom right here. Really, I don't. Casey Mears didn't really do anything wrong. He's right in the groove. I just think Ricky was going to try to maybe do a crossover move on there or something. It just didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Stenhouse just got totally loose on his own.
I think he got on the brakes really hard, Larry. He saw he was going to maybe make some contact with Casey Mears. It got loose.
Now this is at turn 1.
Oh, he's loose there already.
And Mears is going to pass him. And he tries to retake the spot at turn 2. Cross under move like you're talking about earlier. But
I think that was his plan, but the thing was just too loose off of 2 and really loose there in turn, or off of 1 and really loose into 2 and just lost it.
And then Stenhouse said he lost the brakes, and we didn't see the wheels locked up as he was headed toward the wall, so that's possible.
But Darrell, that thing looked like it got loose about the point you'd be pretty heavy on the brake, just as he turned down to the bottom of turn 2.
I wouldn't, you know, I think you saw his car loose off turn 1 back there. I think he just had a loose race car, and then the 13 upset it enough that he lost control of it.
Larry, they were last on pit road 18 laps ago.
Yeah, this is one of those little bit in a box, because you're nowhere near being able to make it on one more stop by pitting here. I get a feeling that we may see some drivers that might stay out. We may see some that just top off the fuel. But I will say this, taking the wave around and making the green flag stop, it has paid dividends for Joey Logano, because I know he's in 22nd, but he's back on that lead lap now.
But Larry, what if you took 2 tires on that last go round, and you know, I don't know if I'd want to come down and maybe try to get 4 tires on my car now.
Like Martin Truex.
Right.
Yeah, and Ryan Newman's already made his stop. So right now, the drivers that's out there on just right side tires would be Casey Kane in the 5, who's on pit road.
Yeah, these 2 tires.
And Martin Truex Jr. Yep. So we're seeing a little bit of a split decision.
So drivers that took 4 staying out, and a lot of drivers who took 2 on that last stop coming in. Right. Jamie.
And Casey Kane took only right sides last time. They opted for 4 tires this time with the wedge adjustment, the 24 in as well. There they go, working on the left side. Casey Kane getting the car better each stop, Matt.
And Rodney Childers kept Kevin Harvick on the racetrack. Cole Pern brought the 78 of Truex down. Now, they were originally talking about going left sides only. But when Harvick stayed out and several others, they decided to go 4 tires on the 78. The only change.
It's going to be a bit costly. There is Truex losing 5 spots on pit road. Ricky Stenhouse brings out the caution in turn 2.
Nearing half Raceway with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers. Good time for a KFC race break. Hope you're enjoying the race here from Pocono. And Kevin Harvick, right, 5 second-place finishes since his last win. He's won twice this year, has cycled out in front ahead of Jimmy Johnson, who's only led 10 laps in his last 2 wins, going for what would be his 5th win of the season already. He's never had that many wins this early.
You know, we previewed this rivalry, how good these 2 cars and these 2 crew chiefs are. They've put those guys right up front as we near the halfway point. You could see a lot more of them up there the rest of the day.
But let's check at the tricky triangle. We've had 5 last lap passes in the history of this race, so a long way to go around this 2.5-mile track. It was tricky for this driver as Paul Menard had problems.
Yeah, he had a valve stem break on his wheel there, and it caused the tire to go down. Splitter damage to that car as well.
2 pit road penalties with that. Dale Earnhardt Jr. started 20th, moved up to 5th. He's, of course, trying to win his 3rd straight, but Martin Truex Jr. has been the story. He's led the most laps. He's led the most laps in the last 3 races, looking for his first win in 2 years.
Yeah, and that car is really stout today, but he's got the guys that you're going to have to deal with all year long. Look at Stenhouse down into the tunnel turn. He said he lost his brakes on entry, gets sideways and hard into the outside wall. That brought out the caution flag that has varying strategies now in play, Chris.
Yeah, and every race is really a fuel mileage race, but why is this more so here? Is it because there are more options?
Yeah, the track is so big, 2.5 miles long in length, you can pit and come out on the track ahead of the leaders. So you can switch up your strategy like we saw Brad Keselowski do earlier, open up your playbook more and have more options.
A tablespoon of fuel can mean so much as we get towards the end. That's your KFC race break. Let's head back upstairs to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Thanks, Chris. 26 lead lap cars for this restart with 88 to go. Behind the Chevy SS pace car, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson on the front row. Carl Edwards in a Toyota with Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Chevrolet. Then Hamlin and Kenseth in Toyotas. Logano's Ford and Dillon Chevy. McMurray and Newman are your top 10. We're back under green as they fan out.
Boy, Dale Jr. looking for some running room here through the middle. Harvick on the outside, Jr. there right behind him. Truex looking underneath, Jr. coming off turn 1 there.
And Matt Kenseth, that yellow car right there with him, fully recovered from that pit road speeding penalty earlier.
This is not, for whatever reason, this has just not been a Matt Kenseth racetrack. It just hadn't worked for him.
Yeah, Darrell, in the 4 races he's run for Joe Gibbs Racing, he does not even have a top 20 finish here at Pocono.
Which is so surprising. This just seemed like it would be a track that would fit his driving style.
Pole sitter Kurt Busch steaming up the inside of turn number 3.
Kurt, one of the drivers that came to pit road under that last caution, and they elected to go with just right side tires on his 41 car.
And that car on the inside there is the 78 of Martin Truex. They took 4 tires, and that's why he's back a little bit, but he is coming through the field pretty quick.
Truex restarted 14th. He's up to 8th in the 78. Matt?
Mike, the concern for Kurt Busch in the 41, simply from the start of the race, on the initial start and then on the several restarts since, he says, I'm just messed up on the restarts. I need to have the car more into the track. I just cannot get forward grip. Now, they went right side tires on the last stop. Tony Gibson said it worked for the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., helped get them track position. Let's give it a shot as well.
Let's go back to the restart and look out the back of Kevin Harvick's car. Restarted on the front row. Getting a little help from his friends there.
Getting a bump, getting a little push. You see the air blowing the cowl flaps up on the 88 car there. That's just a lot of pressure under the hood being released. You get that sometime when you get right up behind somebody. Boy, we got us a pretty good little battle going on right here.
Casey Kane to 12th. Kyle Larson now trying to hold off Keselowski. Martin Truex from 14th to 7th in 2 laps since the restart. That's what 4 tires will do.
Oh, he likes those 4 tires. It's working for him. He's all the way back of Austin Dillon right here. Should be able to possibly draft up and make a pass going down into turn 1.
And racing with a heavy heart, his dad, Martin Sr.'s mother, Roberta, passed away Wednesday. So Truex losing his grandmother this week. And trying to win one here at Pocono.
He's going to take advantage of Austin Dillon there in the 3-car. Austin, one of the drivers that elected to stay out. Remember, he made a green flag pit stop on lap 60 with his 3-car.
You don't get any positions easily here at Pocono. The battling is every bit as good back at either end of the top 20 as it is here for the lead. Danica Patrick and A.J. Allmendinger were battling for 19th. There they are. Allmendinger won the battle, but it was a skirmish here at the tunnel turn. Whoa, big slide. That's contact there.
Yes, sir.
And I know listening to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the media center, that was one of the fears. He said as you go through those bumps right there, is your car just walking up with you, as you saw Danica Patrick's 10-car do.
Ricky Stenhouse brought out the second caution flag of the day when he hit the wall at the tunnel turn. Chris Neville.
And Mike, his crew doing the best they can to try and get the 17 back on the racetrack. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finally getting out of the car. A bit too frustrated to talk with us right now, but I did hear that he lost his brakes going into turn 2, just couldn't get the car slowed down. But obviously a few tough weeks for this team. They had a left front hub failure at Charlotte, right front suspension failure at Dover, and now this.
Yeah, Chris, they finished 37th last 2 races at Charlotte and Dover, to your point.
Still some pretty tough sledding for the Roush Fenway boys. Right now, the 16 of Beffel's running 22nd, and the 6 of Bain is running 29th, and then Ricky's in the garage. So they still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, Greg is the only Roush Fenway Ford driver still on the lead lap, back in 22nd.
Brian Newman battling teammate Austin Dillon. 8th place changes hands here.
Yeah, it looks like that 3-car kind of, it started, you know, on the restart pretty good, but he keeps falling back as we run and get into the run. So they need to work on the car on the longer run.
Both the Dillon boys still on the lead lap. Austin in 9th and his younger brother Ty in 18th.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of reports.
That didn't sound good.
Something doesn't sound good at all with that 43-car Eric
I see
Almirola.
a little haze of smoke coming out that right side.
Now you got the wave around on the last caution flag to get back on the lead lap. Ooh,
Yeah,
that sounds like 7 cylinders.
See the RPM, but Darrell, you guys talked about it in the pre-race show, how this place is so hard on everything mechanical about that race car.
Kevin Harvick leading Dale Earnhardt Jr. by 1.6 seconds. Here's a nationwide performance update from Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet living up to his potential, just under 2 seconds back of Kevin Harvick. Now, they've made a lot of progress today. The first run, the car was on the free side, especially on exit. And then the second run, the car just didn't take off on the restart like he would have liked. But right now, he's just settled in. They're about 10 to 12 laps away from their next scheduled stop for the 88.
Well, Dale Jr. is wearing a special set of gloves this month to benefit pediatric brain cancer, and they're going to auction those off later on this at the end of the month. So good work for the 88 team and Dale Jr.
Martin Truex hunting Carl Edwards' 5th place position right now. Remember, Truex restarted 14th up to 6th, and at 15th, Brad Keselowski, Jeff Gordon. And as they battle side by side off into the corner, Chris can update us on Eric Almirola's woes.
That's right, Mike. Just checked in with his team, and he's saying he thinks the car is blowing up. He says it feels like it's struggling for fuel, and he doesn't know what the engine's really doing. But the oil pressure readings that he's giving back to the team say everything is fine. So a bit of a head scratcher down here.
I don't know, Chris. He's we just saw that nice pass there by by Jeff Gordon over the tunnel past Brad Keselowski, but Chris, back to the 43, he's definitely got an engine problem because the thing is starting to show some smoke.
And Mike, back to Matt's report on Dale Earnhardt Jr. Lap 90 is when the window opens to get it to the end.
We'll have our Fox NASCAR Midway report next.
Time now for the Just Past Midway Race Report here on Fox Sports 1 Live from Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Harvick, your leader. The race started with 125 miles of uninterrupted green flag racing, the most of any race this year. And the headline in the first half, Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick. Harvick edging, by the way, Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the fastest lap turn today. Harvick has led at the midway point in 3 races this year, but did not win any of those. Darrell Waltrip, based on what you've seen, who's the driver to beat?
Chris, that 78 car has led the most laps in the last 3 races, but he hadn't led the right one yet. But today, he's going to get it done. I feel confident.
I feel the same way about this guy, Darrell. Kevin Harvick. He won 2 of the first 4 races, but it's been 10 races, 3 months since that 4 car has driven victory lane. He changes all that this afternoon.
Michael, Dale Earnhardt Jr. came into this weekend trying to accomplish something only 2 other drivers have accomplished here, win 3 consecutive races. After qualifying 20th, he knew that was going to be a tough task. Now he's running second. It's a reality.
It's been an up-and-down weekend for Jimmy Johnson. They weren't great in final practice. We have a tire down. Speaking of the 48, I was just going to say, hang in there for a 4th win, but Jimmy Johnson has a cut tire. He's coming to pit road, guys.
Johnson to the pit lane. I'm looking at Carl Edwards as caution comes out here on the speedway. Edwards led the first 14 laps of this race. But I'm picking him because on Friday, when other drivers saw difficulty with the tunnel turn, he saw opportunity. We're going to have pit stops during this caution period. Let's check with our NASCAR Fox rules analyst, Andy Petrie.
Yeah, Mike, we've had 4 pit road speeding penalties today that have affected a few drivers. Paul Menard got 2 of those. We also had the penalty for Joey Logano with the transmission change before the start of the race. He had to start at the back, and he also got one of the speeding penalties, but he's at least worked his way back into the top 15.
Thanks, Andy. And pole sitter Kurt Busch, who has not led a lap but has stayed close to the top 10 all afternoon. Brother Kyle Busch 0 for 20 in his career in Pocono races. At his 3rd race back from injury has made it as high as 8th. Just this thought, too, that 4 of the last 6 Pocono races, the winner took the lead for the final time with 8 laps or fewer to go. And that's your just past midway race report. We're glad you're watching NASCAR on Fox Sports 1. Let's continue under caution and the pit stops and head back up to Mike Joy.
Eric Almirola comes in before the pits open. They lift the hood, hoping they can find something simple like a plug wire off or that it's not an internal engine problem.
And I'm watching the 48 team. They're on pit road, and they've been there a long time, and they keep working on the left side of the car. They let it down. They started to let him go. Now they've jacked it up again. Now they're looking under it. So there's something maybe going on with that 48 car.
The road speed.
You could see the left front right there as it just went flat on him. Good thing is it happened right in the middle of a very long straightaway, and that certainly helped the cause there, him being able to keep control of that 48 car.
Yeah, I couldn't tell there if they were looking to see if something rubbed on the tire or if there was some issue with that. But anyway, Jamie.
Matt Kenseth having a nice day. Started mid-pack. He's up to 3rd. Wants to pit here because he says his car's a little bit tight. They'll adjust for that. They've taken 4 tires all day, and they'll do it once again, Matt.
Kevin Harvick hits his box. Now, he said his car is stellar down in turn 3. He still could use some help in turn 1. Meanwhile, the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr., he had a vibration on the right side shortly before his car hit pit road, and Cole Pern, once again, pulling strategy, going right sides on the 78.
Truex beats Kyle Busch off pit road, while Austin Dillon, who was the 9th place driver, did not pit.
A couple of others we'll tell you about that stayed out when we come back.
Welcome back to Pocono. 70 laps to go. 1 lap to the restart. And problems on pit road. We'll watch from Brad Keselowski's car. Martin Truex is going to be pitted right in front of Brad. Watch the air hose the tire changer is using on the 78. As Keselowski is done, his crewmen come back to the wall. And you'll see the tire changer on the 78 look back for his air hose, and it'll be just a little too late right there. Keselowski's going to run over it and drag it along with him down pit road. And a couple of crew guys get upended by this.
Yeah, it's so dangerous. I mean, you get hung under there, and that thing is like a rope, and it just cuts your legs right out from under you.
Kyle Turner, one of those upended, we're told. And Andy Petrie, we know there's a rule against removing equipment from the pit box. What if it's not your equipment?
Well, I think that's the key phrase right here, Mike, because that was not the two cars' air hose or air wrench that they removed, obviously removed from the pit stall. Brad Keselowski is able to go through that pit and actually two more and to be legal. Those the other guys really need to try to clean up pit road a little quicker to get that out of the way, but there's not going to be a penalty on either one of these teams.
All right, we're going to add one more lap of caution, so we'll take a pit stop. Make a pit stop at Sprint. Cut your bill in half. Just bring them your Verizon or AT&T wireless bill and your old phone, and they'll cut your rate plan at a Sprint store or at sprint.com/half price. Jeff Gordon, currently second. Most Pocono wins all time since we started racing here in 1974. Now Martin Truex Jr. will restart sixth, wondering about the number of laps to go here.
Just got to save here, and then we can make it a one more stop. I have to make up about 2 laps over the next 2 runs. Copy. Do you know how much not shifting is worth? It wasn't a lot, but I mean, it's going to be a 10th or 2 at least.
On the restart, Jeff Gordon, Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson, Tony Stewart, and Sam Hornish Jr. did not pit under that caution. They're out front.
The reason they didn't pit, their window had not opened. You will see those drivers on pit road under green in the next 8 to 10 laps.
And the conversation about not shifting, how much will it save? It'll save a little bit. And when you're trying to save fuel, just keep it in high gear. That will help.
Jamie?
Well, Jeff Gordon has struggled on restarts today, and right before they restarted there, he said, my car's good, guys, but it's not worth a darn on restarts. They said, go like heck, just get around the 3 car into clean air, and we will be good, and that's what he did.
He's led over 1,000 laps at this racetrack with 6 victories as Kurt Busch and teammate Kevin Harvick go side by side for 13th. Alex Bowman goes around and just missing him. I think that was Josh Wise. So caution comes out again at lap 94. And Larry, will this open the pit stop window?
Well, it doesn't really open the window because, again, I think we go back to some earlier green flag stops. These drivers that stayed out, they couldn't go as far as like some of the Team Penske Ford drivers. But when I look at drivers like Austin Dillon, he about has to come to pit road because he has not been on pit road since lap 60, where the others can go just a little further. But these cautions are helping those drivers that's trying to stretch it to make it on one more stop.
Yeah, that's a 78. He said he was 2 laps shorter. He needed to save 2 laps over the next 2 stops. This works right into his plan.
Well, you guys can figure fuel mileage all you want. What I'm figuring is on that restart, 4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. rocketed him from 13th to 6th. In what, a lap?
Timed it just right. Great restart. It was.
He was really coming on the outside. There's Junior going by. And there might have been some contact between Brett Moffitt and Alex Bowman.
I would say when he clears out of that smoke, that 34 car might have had a little something to do with that.
Let's try another angle here. Right side of your screen, right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Pit road's open. Here come the cars that were not in last time. Jamie?
And Jeff Gordon, Alan Gustafson said, well, that blew our whole strategy there. Jeff's car is pretty good. They decided to go ahead and pit here.
I do believe now all of these drivers that just pitted, like Jeff Gordon, like Kyle Larson, they're going to be back in the field, which is something they didn't want, especially with Jeff Gordon struggling on the restarts, but they now can make it on one more stop. But the one driver that continued to stay out was Tony Stewart, that 14 car right behind leader Martin Truex Jr.
66 laps to go. Differing strategies. We'll see how they play out. Finishing up the fourth caution of the afternoon, Coca-Cola, official soft drink of NASCAR. Here's a look at how the Coca-Cola racing family is performing today. All of them are among the 27 cars on the lead lap as we get ready to restart with 64 to go. Martin Truex, Tony Stewart did not pit under this caution either. They will be on the front row for this restart ahead of Keselowski and Earnhardt, Kane and Kyle Busch, Dillon and Patrick, Kurt Busch and Harvick, your top 10.
Boy, I like where that 78 car is now. I think his strategy is pretty good. They needed a couple of laps, and those caution laps are going to help him, I think. So I like where he is right now.
Kyle Busch top to bottom, eases it into turn 1, 3 wide. Earnhardt on the top side, goes around Stewart. Casey Kane slips up behind Harvick. Whoa. That blue 5 car went for a big ride there and backed up some folks. Looks like the 405.
Look
going
at
past
this.
The Fox office is there.
I've seen this not work out too good a lot of times.
Whoa, 4 wide, and at second, Keselowski and Earnhardt.
But Mike, you mentioned it before we went to break. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 4 fresh tires. He is making some hay.
All I know is these guys back here, they are racing their hearts out trying to just pass anybody, somebody. Give me some room.
Well, they're getting all they can here just right after a restart.
Like you said earlier, Darrell, I'll come get some fresh tires and I'll pass everybody on the restart. And 20 people all thought that way.
Exactly.
All the Stewart-Haas cars right in a row, all 4 of them right there. Add Kurt Busch to that mix, and you've got the whole company from 5th through 8th.
Yeah, Daniel Knost, Danica Patrick's crew chief. Little strategy there on that caution back on lap 86. He brought that 10 car in and did just right side tires to get her some track position.
I like that. She's not been running that bad. She's been in the top 20, and so getting up here and getting a track position could, a little clean air might pay off.
Matt Kenseth has been the strongest Toyota for much of the day. He's currently 13th. Kyle Busch up there in 4th. 10th place. Boy, Casey Kane got way caught out in turn 1 on that restart and went from 6th to 10th, now 11th.
Been a little surprised in that 11 car, Larry, and I thought he would be a factor, get closer to the front here. He's working hard to get up there, but just hadn't made it yet.
Yeah, he's won 4 races here, but he'll be the first to tell you since the repave in 2012, they don't have the advantage they had back when we had the old surface.
And there's our front row starter Carl Edwards right there running along with Denny, so thought these Gibbs cars would be a little better today than what I've seen out of them so far.
Mike, Darrell, Martin Truex Jr., that race car it's liking that clean air. He just ran the fastest lap. He's running this race here on lap 98.
Matt?
Now, Mike, I spoke with Kyle Turner, the tire changer for Truex, and also the carrier, Adam Mosher. Both are okay, but when the hose was ripped, it damaged Turner's hose, so he had to replace that. The bigger issue was somehow it messed up the electrical in the box because it also yanked the air hose, yanked the electrical cord that went to the pit box. So all their telemetry, all their data, TVs, everything, computers went dead for about a minute and a half till they hooked up a generator to get everything fired back up.
Yeah, that situation could have been a whole lot worse.
Yes. Look at Denny Hamlin, 3 wide. Underneath Ryan Newman and Kyle Larson, and
yikes.
Newman right back, crosses under. And
here
Carl
comes
Edwards.
Carl says, I get a little action. Let me get into this.
Battling for 14th. Wow.
Larson said, hey, I need to, you guys are racing a little hard here.
And look who's joining the mix as well. Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car there behind Carl Edwards. Remember, he's the one, Jamie, that brought out the 3rd caution not that long ago.
Yeah, the left front go down, and just an update on that. Jimmy said he wasn't even running hard. It just suddenly went out. They don't know what caused it. Minimal damage on this splitter, but the good part of that, they pitted 3 times. They're good to go on fuel. Chad Knaus told him just go for it.
I watched them on the fuel you're talking about, Larry. They jacked the car up on the left side to get all the fuel they could in that race car.
And they kept hitting before we went back to green, just trying to make sure that 48 car was full. Moves like that, that's the reason they've won 74 races and 6 championships.
A.J. Allmendinger in that same mix, battling from 15th back through 19th. Up front, Martin Truex, here's his lead. 2.5 seconds to Brad Keselowski. Under fire from Dale Earnhardt Jr. See why one of the most revered names in NASCAR. Trust the most winning name in NASCAR. Go to Chevy.com/Dale Jr. .59 laps to go with Earnhardt in third, Matt.
Mike, the battle for bragging rights may have already taken place this weekend. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has his own paintball warfield at his house, and Jr. challenged Jimmy Johnson and the 48 guys to his 88 guys Saturday. Now, if you talk to the guys, the 48 guys won the battles, but Junior's team, they won the war. They scored the flag. Good time had by all. But I think that everyone was extremely impressed with the IT guys. They showed up with exceptional guns. So you know what happens? There will be a round two, and everyone will show up with all new stuff. You know how the competition goes.
Yep. Escalating technology.
It's always those,
even in fun.
Those IT guys, they always got something up their sleeve.
I hope that still stands for information technology.
It. Oh, it's it.
Just the it guys.
It's those guys.
Kevin Harvick coming back on Dale Jr. Trying to get himself out in clean air. And behind them, Kyle Busch starting to wonder about fuel.
Try to save fuel for turn 2 and not shift, and I about knocked the wall down. So tight over there. That far. We're good on fuel here, man. Just go.
Well, and Kyle pitted on that caution at lap 88, so if you break that up into 2 halves, that's 36 laps a run. But, Chris, they also had some cautions to help them a little bit.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be a tight window here for him, Larry, and what he was trying to do is save fuel just running 4th gear, and that's when he said the car was so tight through turn 2, but as he's down changing to the 3rd gear, he said the car handles so much better, so his crew chief Adam Stevens says, hey, just go as fast as you can.
But, Darrell, when you go to 3rd gear, it's like adding 50 points of gear because 3rd gear is so much slower than you are in 4th gear.
Exactly. It just gives you great acceleration out of these tight corners. And then you can catch high gear, catch it early. That saves fuel. What we call short shifting. Get that thing back in high gear a little quicker, and it'll save a little fuel.
Third place. Earnhardt closes on Keselowski's Ford. To make the pass.
I think there might be a little strategy right there, Larry. You think the 2 maybe says, okay, let me draft behind this 88 car?
Well, we know that the 2 car, Brad Keselowski and that Ford and his teammate Joey Logano, they probably can go further than anyone. The window will open somewhere around lap 124, 125. Anybody that can make it to the end and pit, then you know they're trying to make it to the end without stopping again.
So that'll be about 20 laps from now. We might expect the first green flag pit stops. Since the restart, Martin Truex Jr. has been fastest on every lap. Fox coverage of the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup continues. Alex Morgan, Abby Wambach, Hope Solo, and Team USA play their first game. They battle Australia only right here on Fox Sports 1. Your home for the Women's World Cup. Fox Sports 1. And it's all streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Here at Pocono, Pennsylvania, 52 laps to go. Martin Truex has been out front since that last restart. Still looking for his first win of the season. And he's led the most laps in every one of the last 3 races.
They've had some heartbreakers. If he doesn't win today, it's going to break my heart. I'm telling you, I want this guy to win a race.
And Mike, last year, he only led 1 lap total the entire season.
These guys are working they've done such a great job. They built him new cars. They're doing everything right. They just need to get that W.
Now he's about to lap Tony Stewart, who restarted up front but made a green flag pit stop just a little bit ago. The Busch brothers 5th and 6th behind Brad Kay. Right behind this group, Casey Kane in 7th, and Danica Patrick, since that restart, has held well in 8th place.
She has held her own well. I know they went with just the 2 right side tires, but they got her track position. I think what really helped her by doing that was on the restart. She didn't have near as much to deal with.
Jamie McMurray, along with Matt Kenseth, will complete the top 10. Kenseth 9th, McMurray 10th. Beautiful spring day in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. Time for a Sunday Fox NASCAR. Crank it up. Matt Kenseth has passed Danica Patrick for 8th place. They're about 14 seconds off the lead. And over the last 9 laps or so, Kevin Harvick has cut Martin Truex's lead in half. It's down to 1.7 seconds. Dillon boys having a nice run today. Austin now 20th after starting up in the top 10. And his younger brother Ty in the number 33, running a full Xfinity Series schedule, but only a very partial Sprint Cup schedule, having a great race in 13th, Chris.
That's right, Mike. This is just his third time running in Sprint Cup this year, and talking to him before the race, he said he's just amazed at the level of competition up here. And he said it is so tough to get into the top 20. So that's really what they were looking for this week, and they've got it in hand right now. And he said the balance of that car, really good.
Well, Mike, we know Ty would love to be in the Sprint Cup Series next year and lead the Xfinity Series and run the Sprint Cup cars. He's sort of auditioning. Maybe he's trying to impress someone, you know. Hey, put me in a car. Let me get up to that next level.
Well, maybe what paid dividends was going over to Churchill Downs the middle of last week and hanging out with American Pharoah before they loaded him up to take him over to the Belmont.
Tell you what, I love that horse. I never. There's sometimes you see celebrities, you see things, you know, but I love that horse.
But Alan Cavana and Andrew Dowd from Fox Sports 1 went to the race.
They did a show here
from the Speedway.
drove right over there.
Went to see the race, had great seats, and I think cashed a winning ticket. Martin Truex Jr. 1.6 seconds up on Kevin Harvick at the uniquely shaped and decorated Pocono Raceway with those grandstand spires inspired by Churchill Downs. to the Poconos. 43 laps to go. Join NASCAR as we salute our veterans and active military members using the hashtag NASCAR salutes. Or visit NASCAR.com/salute. Martin Truex Jr. now 1 second ahead of Kevin Harvick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 6 seconds back. Brad Keselowski 12. Kyle Busch 13. Now in the first round of practice, there was a lot of talk about the bumpiness in turn number 2, but no pun intended. Since then, things seem to have kind of leveled out.
Well, what happens is when you got the car in qualifying trim, you got an aggressive shock package, and so bumps like that will upset the car. In the race, you lighten that package up a little bit, and the car rides through there a lot easier than it did in the qualifying trim. I think that's what we're seeing.
Let's take a look at the right rear suspension on Kyle Larson's 42 car. You'll see it as he goes through those bumps over in turn 2. It's a quick trip through there. There's no question.
Now earlier, the track bar was right even with the bottom of the fuel cell. So you can see he's made a major adjustment lowering the panhard rod, or what we call the track bar.
Yeah, and we thought that drivers would use that a lot here, Mike, because of the 3 different corners that you spoke about before the green flag and how long the straightaways. But also remember that teams can still adjust this on a pit stop just like we've done for years. This is just the first year that the driver can do it from the cockpit.
Yeah, lowering it like that, Mike, tells me the car must have been a little bit loose. He lowered that down trying to tighten it up.
Kyle Busch gave up a spot to his older brother. And here comes Casey Kane trying to take away 6th place from Kyle. Matt Kenseth looking in.
I don't think Kyle is totally without issues. That little problem with the downshifting over the tunnel turn. But the 20 car looks pretty good there, Jamie.
Yeah, battling for 7th on the track right now. I talked to Jason Ratcliffe this morning. He said, we're a top 5 car in speed, but we're not sure what it's going to do in traffic. Well, Matt Kenseth just reported he's a little tight, but it's enabled him to maneuver the car where he wants it. So they've made it better throughout the course of the race.
Yeah, a whole lot better than, having one that's a little bit tight and having one that's pushing loose. That you can't stand that.
Just ahead of them, Kurt Busch pulling down on Brad Keselowski. Shortly, that'll be a battle for 4th. Let's go up to 3rd place and take a nationwide inside ride with Dale. Nope. Sam Hornish in the wall with 100 miles to go. Caution is out at lap 121.
He's got a right front suspension broken. It looked like the left front tire was down when I first saw the car, and then he hit the outside wall, and then you see the right front is broken the upper A arm, it looks like.
Hornish was 22nd and was on the lead lap. Here's a look at it down at turn 1, the fastest part of the racetrack.
See the smoke started to come out of the left front, and then the car just went straight into the wall.
It's a very hard hit.
Yes.
Brief flash fire there.
We've seen a few left front failures today for different reasons.
Now the window net's down. He just took the steering wheel off as he talks to the safety workers on scene.
Guys, it never fails. A caution comes just about 2 to 3 laps before the window opens for drivers to come to pit road and be able to make it to the end. But I think this is one of those situations where you have to come, you have to top it off of fuel, make sure it's full, and just try to save all you can.
Remember what I told you? How many laps can you run on a tank of fuel? Oh, about 34, except if there's 39 to go, then I might be able to run 39.
Yes, sir.
There's a look at Pocono International Raceway from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, proudly supporting our military for 100 years. Show your support. Participate in the charity auction for our troops at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR. Pit road's open. Tony Stewart gets the free pass. A lot of the leaders in. Matt?
Mike, the sun is back out, but while it was in the shade, the track temperature dropped 13 degrees over a good 15-lap stretch. So a lot of guys whose cars were good then went to the tight side. Harvick said his car was tight. Expect almost everyone to go 4 tires. Junior said he was struggling with a balance issue. His car was tight. Truex said the same thing out in clean air. And Brad Keselowski said the clean air was his biggest help. And then all of a sudden his car swung tight. So slight adjustments all the way around.
Hey, looked like the boys nailed it that time, Larry.
With 4 tires for everybody.
Martin Truex Jr. is the first off pit road, beating Kurt Busch by just that much. Make a pit stop at Sprint. Cut your bill in half. Just bring them your Verizon or AT&T wireless bill and turn in your old phone. Or go to sprint.com/half price for details. Martin Truex trying to win for the first time since Sonoma 2013. And here's a look at it when he drove the Napa car for Michael Waltrip Racing. We head for Sonoma in a few weeks to close out our NASCAR on Fox season after a trip to Michigan next week. And then an off week for the Sprint Cup Series.
And it's been over 4 years since that team, the 78 team owned by Barney Visser, since they went to victory lane. Their one and only win at Darlington in the Southern 500 2011, Regan Smith.
Beat Carl Edwards that night, didn't he?
I believe that's right.
Stayed out on tires, and Carl took a couple of tires and was able to hold him off.
Sam Hornish is the reason for the caution flag at lap 121, coming with just about 100 miles to go. Here's your Advanced Auto Parts race off pit road. And of course, Kurt Busch, the pole sitter, had first pick of pit stalls, and it was that close with Keselowski third, Harvick fourth, Kyle Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. the top half dozen there.
Yeah, Truex's guys really stepped up on that stop, Mike. That was a nice stop. Got him out in the lead.
Yeah, because every driver except for Austin Dillon and the 3 who took 2, every driver took 4 tires. We're going to have a restart, looks like, with 35 to go. The question, can everybody make it to the end?
I'll bet there's a lot of conversations about that going on right now. We listened in on the 88.
Yeah, stay fuel here. Yeah, where do we sit on fuel? We're about 3 laps short here. With these cautions, we're going to be low.
3 laps. That's more than a gallon.
But to Greg Ives' point, you can save so much under these cautions. I mean, you can shut it off. You can let it coast. Used to use about a 2-to-1 ratio. Probably it's a lot greater than that now, just the way they do things.
And Mike, with the shifting, no kidding, you can not shift for a few laps. That's going to save you a little bit of fuel. Then you can short shift. In other words, when you're in third, get it back into high gear as quick as you possibly can once you get up on the straightaway. A lot of little things the driver can do to really help this situation.
8 or 9 cars took the wave around. They're racing hard to catch the pack before we go green. Heading into turn 3. You see the lineup of the top 10 of what are now 30 lead lap cars. Tony Stewart got the free pass. Here they come off turn 3 for the restart.
This should be pretty wild right here. I mean, we're getting down to it now, and this is when everybody really steps up their game.
Kyle Busch in that green number 18, taking them 3 wide down into turn 1.
One of the best restarters in the business, that 18 car. Kyle Busch, I've seen him do it many a time.
Going for third against Harvick. Oh, contact right behind them.
Man, I'll say, bouncing off each other right there. I think that was a 5 car of
Kane and
Casey
Earnhardt.
Kane. It looked like Dale Jr.'s got damage to the left rear. He may have a left rear tire down. Or I believe he does. I think he's got some damage on that left rear.
He almost got run over by Joey Logano coming into the corner.
It rubbed the letters off of it, but I guess it's okay.
Let's take a nationwide inside ride with Dale Jr. and listen.
Still clear there. All clear. Fine with you there. The one already pushing you here. That's 40 trying to get inside. If they're going to get back in line here now, they're in line to your mirror. They're probably trying to look outside. Outside by himself. Check the bottom of 48 your mirror. Still looking outside. You're inside the 48. Slow car on the bottom of 2. Alright, 2 inside. 2 and 1 inside the 2. Clear by 1 to the 3 behind him. Inside the 3. By himself. By himself. Clear by 3 behind him to the 10. Still there.
As Sounds a lot like air traffic control. When TJ says clear by 1, that is clear by 1 car length to the next car behind you. But let's see the contact between Dale Jr. and the 5 of Casey Kane while they battled for position. This will be looking out the back of Brad Keselowski's car. When we get to it, pretty good action right there.
We got a lot of people bouncing off each other. Oh, whoa, that was a lot of movement right there in a hurry.
Second place, Harvick and Kurt Busch.
Tell you one thing, though, that TJ Majors, I can listen to him all day long. I love the way he spots. So precise, everything.
But I think Kevin Harvick knew he better get by his teammate Kurt Busch in a hurry because Martin Truex Jr. is just driving away in that 78.
Sam Hornish released from the care center after crashing to bring out the caution at lap 121. And more pit stops. Casey Mears, Ty Dillon in to get enough fuel to go the distance. Whoa, Keselowski. And the 34 of Brett Moffitt.
Boy, they scattering right there.
Yellow flag, lap 129. This will be the 6th caution of the day as Moffitt tries to get going.
Gonna have to take a look at this, see what happened between. I don't know if there's contact between him and the 2 or not. 2's got damage on the right front.
Let's have a look.
Keselowski on the outside of Jamie McMurray, and the 1. Yeah, it's the 34 gets up in that real loose gray stuff, can't go anywhere, and Brad's already committed to the outside, and he makes pretty serious contact with the 34 car.
And Darrell, did it look like Brad just got so high that finally he got into that loose stuff and he couldn't do anything either?
That's exactly what happened. You pick that stuff on your tires, and you see the 34, he's up there in the gray dirt, can't go, and here comes Brad right behind him. He can't turn because he got trash on his tires, build up on his tires, and gets right in the back of 34 Moffitt.
Moffitt was 30th, 1 lap down. Here's a look from Brad's onboard.
Very low. Inside. Hold on to it here. No caution inside. Caution.
Keselowski was 10th at the time.
Trying to make something happen with this damn car that won't run. We're down the straightaway.
Now that is unusual. Very seldom have I heard Brad Keselowski complain about his car or a strategy, or very, very seldom do you hear that.
But Darrell, there's no question these Team Penske Ford drivers, they're not where they were when the year started. In fact, Brad's last top 5 finish was all the way back at Texas quite a number of weeks ago.
And quite honestly, there's nothing he could do there. He was committed to the outside. McMurray was on the bottom. He was on the outside. When Moffitt got in the loose stuff, Brad just could not get out from behind him and make some serious contact.
Now, for all those drivers that knew they were real close or a little shy on making it, these cautions, to Greg Ives' point to Dale Earnhardt Jr., the last caution, these cautions are helping build some cushion to be able to make it to the end.
Several of those drivers had just made stops under green to make sure of having enough fuel to go the distance, Ty Dillon included, but they were able to stay on the lead lap, and Landon Castle will get back onto the lead lap. Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. to pit road. Keselowski's in. Carl Edwards, Austin Dillon, Jeff Gordon, and more. Jamie.
This is interesting that Carl Edwards is coming in. The team told me they were good on gas to go from the get-go on the last stop, so he just wanted to adjust on this car. That's why they decided to pit and put 4 tires on it. Why not, Matt?
88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s in. There's cosmetic damage to the left rear quarter panel. Now, Travis Mack, the car chief, he's the gentleman with the hammer. He's pulling out the fender, also beating it back into place, trying to get the aerodynamics back to where it was before the contact. You can see still trying to figure out what repairs they need to do more to that area on the 88, Mike, and they're cleaning the grill, but that's the area where Greg Ives wanted Travis to focus on the most.
Tell you what, he better not pull out that side skirt.
No. Jeff Jeff Gordon got 2 tires on that stop. So again, we see a lot of varying strategies with 30 laps to go as Brad Keselowski gets into Brett Moffitt high in turn 1 to bring out the caution.
Right after the race on Fox Sports Live. Plenty more from Pocono. What made the difference at the Tricky Triangle?
Plus, the inspiring story of one crew member who refuses to slow down at the track and in the fight for his life.
Plus, a full preview of NBA Finals Game 2 live from Oracle Arena. All that and more on Fox Sports Live straight ahead.
And he waited for the mistake. And he
restart with 28 laps to go in the Pocono Mountains of eastern Pennsylvania. You think traffic's heavy on I-80? Get a look at this restart. We'll have 29 cars on the lead lap, including Landon Castle, who got the free pass as we finish up this 6th caution flag of the day. Next 2 Sprint Cup races coming up on the Fox family of networks are these.
Fox Sports 1 is your home for NASCAR. And as the summer comes, the Sprint Cup Series really heats up. As many big-name drivers are still looking for a win, they'll have to tame a few tough tracks in the next month. Michigan and Sonoma are up next. And all the excitement and drama can only be found here on Fox Sports 1.
Michigan, a place that Jimmy Johnson won last year. We talked about the summer surge of Hendrick Motorsports with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers. Hendrick Motorsports drivers had only led 3 laps today. It's been the Truex Jr. Kevin Harvick show.
Yeah, and Truex Jr. is setting in the perfect position. I don't think fuel's an issue. He just needs to get the perfect start. He's good on the short run, Chris, but man, Harvick comes alive after 10 or 15 laps on his tires. This is going to be a classic shootout.
And worth pointing out, Kyle Busch up to 4th and Matt Kenseth 0 for 30 on this track. In position, the best he's been all day, up to 5th. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
All right, who you like, Darrell?
Well, I want that 78 to win, and folks, don't get me wrong. I'm not pulling for or against anyone. Just love to see that team win a race, but they're not going to beat that 4 car. He's too hard to hold off at this point.
The last time a crew chief won on his birthday, it was Alan Gustafson for Jeff Gordon a couple of years ago. Today is Rodney Childers' birthday. Kevin Harvick's crew chief. Kurt Busch will line up 3rd, anticipating this restart.
The 4 car said feel free to push. He's struggling, I think, the same way when he hits 3rd gear like we are. 10-4. Out of our best chance.
Teammates will line up on the inside of rows 1 and 2. You're looking back from Kevin Harvick. On the outside, Martin Truex in a Chevrolet, and then Kyle Busch in a Toyota. Then it's Kenseth's Toyota, Logano's Ford, followed by the Chevys of Kane, Johnson, McMurray, and Newman, your top 10. Here we go.
Harvick in the 4 got a great restart that time. Look at Kenseth in that yellow 20 down to the bottom.
Kurt Busch didn't, Larry. He didn't get going there, and that kind of left his teammate, the 4 car of Kevin Harvick, hanging out to dry there.
3 into 2 into turn 1.
If Martin Truex can get a big enough lead and he can get away from that 4 car, he might be able to hold him off. But the 4 has just been better on the long run. He catches Martin right at the end of the long run.
Logano. Woo! That number 22 Ford to the inside, and Joey Logano is going to come off the tunnel turn in 3rd.
No, he's not. He smoked it in there. He smoked it in there and pushed it up and couldn't get back to the gas. That opened the door for Kyle to come right back under him, crossover.
But when you look at those 2 yellow cars of Logano and Kenseth, remember, both of them speeding penalties early in the race, and they've overcome that now.
Jimmy Johnson in the mix, side by side with Matt Kenseth.
Man, there's all kind of things going on there down this front straightaway.
That's Jamie McMurray in the 1, diving to the bottom, and Danica Patrick goes for a ride into the turn 1 wall.
Yeah, we saw smoke coming from her car.
It's almost like she maybe cut a tire down.
Caution at lap 135. The right rear is flat, and she was 11th. Jimmy Johnson gets pinned up against the wall there, side by side with Matt Kenseth. Had a little bit of room.
Yeah, a little bit. It got a little contact there. I don't think it hurt anything. And we saw this 10 car going down in front here with smoke, a little bit of smoke trailing, and the car goes around. And Larry, I think you're right. I think it's probably maybe contact with someone, cut a right rear tire down. And when you're all bunched up like this and you got Jimmy bouncing off the wall and somebody's rubbing up against your left rear, your right rear, the 22 car, he's got some damage on the right side. It gets crazy. These last few restarts just these guys go crazy.
David Gilliland will be the recipient of the free pass.
I don't know how much damage Logano's got on his car. He got some.
Now before the spin, here's Danica, top of the screen, coming off turn 3.
Yeah, it gets pushed up right there. Pretty hard contact. You saw the car really bounce off the wall. You see the smoke coming from the right rear right there. That's what cut that tire down.
Yeah, quite a bit of damage to the right side of that car.
Danica's made her way back to pit road where they'll try to make repairs. Martin Truex had jumped out to the lead. Here's his crew chief, Cole Pern.
He knows now absolutely they can make it to the end on fuel, and he likes what he sees with his driver on restarts right now.
Well, we listened in on Jimmy Johnson through that.
Can you thank the 20 for driving me into the wall off of turn 3, please?
Well, what Matt Kenseth have to say about that?
Sorry. Man, left the front of the room. I was running out the door and on the surrender to maintain my position, but you kind of have to do that on the last restart here since you can't pass anybody. I followed him for 20 laps before he pitted last time. So.
Let's have another look at how close it was.
22 cars sideways right there. You see him. He gets him into the wall. I think that's where the 48, he gets into the wall. I'm not sure exactly how I would translate all that. The 22 maybe caused more of that than the 20 did.
Well, we're back to them both being yellow cars again.
Oh my gosh, not again. It's been one of those days.
Jamie?
And Jimmy Johnson, you saw there, he just kissed the wall and he just told Chad Knaus, I did a half lap at speed and I think we're all good to go.
Okay. Had a pretty, you talk about an up and down day for Jimmy Johnson.
They have the ability to recover just about better than I think anybody in the sport right now. They can take things like him trying to spin out at Kansas and turn around and win the race. This guy right here, Chad Knaus, he just knows what to do.
And I think the key, Darrell, is when they cut that tire down at lap 87, they were able to stay on the lead lap. Get right back into contention here. Thursday, June 18th, an American tradition comes to Fox and Fox Sports 1 for the first time. The greatest golfers in the world converge in the Pacific Northwest. Try to write their names into the history books. Exclusive coverage of the 115th U.S. Open Championship live from Chambers Bay Golf Course begins June 18th on Fox Sports 1, on Fox, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
And Mike, all the leaders stayed out and all this talk about saving fuel and a lap shy. When we come back around, that would be 11 laps of caution that we've had since they were on pit road. So I think everybody feeling good now that they can tell their driver run it as hard as you need to go, because we're going to be just over 20 laps to go when we get this restart.
Yeah, you can forget about that short shifting and saving fuel. Get up on the wheel and go somewhere. I got to take a look at that 48 car, Larry, when he comes back around here, because he made pretty hard contact with that outside wall, and he's got some damage down the right side of his car.
He's sitting in the 6th position right now.
You can see back there over the right rear tire where that's caved in right over the top of the tire. I don't know. It might be all right, but when he goes in the corner and that travels a little bit, he could get a tire rub.
Well, Darrell, he's in 6th place out of 29 lead lap cars. Would you dare send him to pit road?
No, you can't. Yeah. I mean, you know, you're in a box.
See those ignition switches being flipped on and off as drivers scramble to save fuel.
Well, and of course now everybody feels good about making it to lap 160. But if we have a caution and get into overtime, a green, white, checkered, you're trying to put a little bit in the bank.
Well, Pocono's known for anomalies. One of those happened here in the second year NASCAR raced here. 1975 was the first visit to Pocono for Roger Penske's team. Bobby Allison took the new style Matador. Yep, that little Rambler right there. There's Woody Woodard, Roger Penske, and Bobby Allison. And he put that car on the pole. A Rambler, first at Pocono.
You might have a Ford and you might have a Chevrolet, but you better look out for that Matador.
Jeff Gordon with the most Pocono wins, but Bill Elliott with 5. DW, Rusty Wallace, Denny Hamlin, and Tim Richmond.
Must be easy to win 4 races here. a lot of
doesn't look like it.
A lot of us did it.
Nope, doesn't look like it. They've had a lot of anomalies here. We have the spires, we have the 3 corners, the different lake straightaways. In 1978, they went way outside the box. They made a deal with MG, the British sports car company, to provide the pace car for the season here at Pocono. Little MGB, world's best-selling sports car to date, paced all the races here. Today it's the Chevy SS that has the honors of leading the field around. It'll be 22 laps to go when they come by.
We saw Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. He is just kind of marred back in 19th. I think having to make that stop has put him back in traffic, and he's just not been able to recover from that.
22 to go. Chris Myers, a lot of action to recap today.
Mike, yeah, we're under our 7th caution at 22 laps to go, but really it's been Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex Jr. Truex Jr. leading 75 laps, 35 for Harvick, going back and forth, battling for the lead. That's the way they stand at the moment here at the tricky triangle at Pocono Raceway. And Jimmy Johnson having some problems here.
Yeah, he has a flat left front tire, relegated him to a spot on a visit to pit road. He fell behind, has been gaining momentum. Watch here on pit road. This is how tight action is. Kozlowski over the air hose of Truex Jr. and it takes out a couple of his crew members. Both guys are reporting to be okay.
And problems, as he said, not good on the straightaway. We heard Brad Keselowski, of course, they early started a strategy of pitting, starting to fuel mileage as we had diagnosed. And then the most recent caution moments ago, as Danica Patrick avoided that wreck, but could not here.
Avoided the cars of Jimmy Johnson into the outside wall as well, along with Joey Logano. She bounced off the wall, too. She got the worst end of the deal with a flat right rear.
Only 2 of the 6 leaders today, the crew chief appreciated that. Only 2 of the 6 leaders today have won a race this season with 10 different lead changes and 6 different leaders. Let's see where this will take us. Remember, we've had 5 races here at Pocono in the history of the race settled by a last lap pass. Mike?
Thanks, Chris. It'll be 21 laps to go when they come around. You see they're in the short chute, headed for that flat turn number 3, with Martin Truex Jr. leading. 29 cars on the lead lap, including David Gilliland, who got the free pass. 12 lead changes, 7 caution flags.
If we go here, we go down through turn 1, don't see any smoke, then you can start to do as you need. Okay, well, where I'm at, I did make a turn 1. I don't know if that makes you comfortable. I was thinking about coming up with it, so of course. Why would you ever want to do what it is that I want you to do? Ultimately, I'm trying to do what you want me to do, and that's win.
Jimmy Johnson restarts 6th, hoping he doesn't have a tire rub. Look at him fan out 7 wide.
They used every bit of the width of this front stretch that time.
I'm telling you, when these last few restarts, it just gets wild and crazy.
And Johnson around the outside. Clears Matt Kenseth. Jamie McMurray to the inside now, that white Chevrolet.
Well, that 22 car's got some damage on the right side. So does a 48, but that doesn't look like there's going to be any tire rubber smoke. They're good to go.
But who really backed everybody up was Kyle Busch, who started in the outside of row 2 right there in that 18. He just really backed up that outside line.
But Larry, I think the key to Martin Truex winning this race is if that 22 car can hold Kevin Harvick back for a few laps and let that 78 get away, he might have a chance.
And they have a little bit of a history here at Pocono, Logano and Harvick.
A.J. Allmendinger in the mix, battling with Jamie McMurray and with Ryan Newman. Denny Hamlin trying to close. That's a cluster right there headed for turn 1.
As a matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned that. Isn't this where that Joey said something about who wore the fire suit in the family?
This is it.
Oh, Newman and Allmendinger Allmendinger get together. Hard, and the ball goes Newman.
Man. Guys, and both these drivers were having great runs, especially Ryan Newman.
They were battling for 7th.
Car's destroyed on the back.
That's a shame. As Larry points out, great run for Ryan Newman today.
Yep.
And Allmendinger had fought his way up into the top half dozen. And they were battling for 7th.
You just run so close together on these restarts, and you're all bunched up, and there's just no room for error. See Allmendinger down the inside there. Allmendinger just got a little wee bit loose as Newman was going around on the outside and wiggled and got into the left rear of Ryan Newman and sent him in a wall. Right there.
8th caution of the day. I think Kyle Busch lucky to get away from that one by diving to the inside. Same with Kurt Busch. Here's a look at it in real time. You'll see how fast things happen. Fastest part of the racetrack.
You just watch that 47. It just wiggles a little bit, and it's just enough to get him up the hill into the side of the 31.
Yeah, Ryan Newman, one of those drivers fighting and clawing to stay in the top 16 in points with 13 down, 13 to go before the chase.
Good thing they don't need to add fuel, Larry, because the fuel filler is pushed up just about all the way to the rear quarter window. Richard Childress relaxing. He has his 3 regular cars in the race, plus the 33 of Ty Dillon.
Yeah, and right now, Austin Dillon in that 3 is the only driver he has left on the lead lap back in 19th. Ty Dillon, as you mentioned, though, his other grandson, driving for little Joe Falk, he is in 16th in that 33 car.
Ryan Newman's not going far with that one.
No, I saw him waving to the garage. Something on that was just broken too bad to fix on pit road.
Racing for 7th, and he will finish this race about 39th. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Well, it is, Mike. 1 point per position. Every point is valuable. Remember, Ryan Newman's the driver that got into the championship race last year based on being high in the points going to Homestead.
The amazing thing is you can run good all day and not get the good finish. You can run sorry all day, and because all these late cautions and guys getting into each other and cause themselves position on the track, somebody that hadn't been running very good will get a good finish.
Tony Stewart could be that somebody. A.J. Allmendinger on pit road, so's Brad Keselowski. Ricky Stenhouse is back in the race. He brought out the caution at lap 69 with a crash. He's 55 laps down, but running.
Yeah, Casey Mears, he's running 13th. Even Clint Boyer, he's now running 17th. And Algire's running 20th.
Yeah, Clint Boyer was one of the drivers that got a free pass earlier under one of the cautions.
All right, Chris Myers.
Yeah, Mike, we were listening. Kevin Harvick on the radio talking about his 3rd gear, saying there's problems and it's hurting him on restarts. He said that people are driving away from him. Mike.
Yeah, you know, when he takes off, you can hear the engine really wound out nicely in 2nd gear, but when he drops to 3rd, about right there, it bogged. It just didn't have the RPMs. And look at the run it puts on him. Cars to the inside, to the outside. And that's going to be very difficult to overcome if there's more late race restarts. You can deal with that as you race through the run, but on the restarts, it's a problem.
And we'll ride with him right now, see what we can hear.
Now, listen.
That was a little late in the shifting, right?
Yeah, you could hear the engine really lugging there. That was after he had gone from 2nd to 3rd. You can see here, once he gets it wound up, he's going to be hard to touch. But late rate restarts could be his downfall.
Yeah, Darrell, Larry, do you have a thought on that?
Well, you know, different gear ratios, guys set their cars up differently. I don't know what the range is that they can use in 3rd gear, but if you get a real high 3rd gear, like sounds like what he's got, it'll really hurt you on restarts.
Yeah, they won't let you run any higher than a 114. You can run lower, but that's the highest you can run, which enables these guys to be able to shift down to 3rd gear.
1 to go. and will try to get the final 16 laps of this race in without another caution.
I watch all these cars go by, and about half of them have got right side damage. They've been up against the wall, tires are rubbing in, they go up against someone else, and a lot of cars with damage.
They restart 2 wide. They're going to be 6 or 7 wide before they get to turn 1.
It's your best chance.
Sure. Tomorrow, Fox coverage of the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup continues. Alex Morgan leads Team USA into their first game against Australia, only on Fox Sports 1. Your home for the Women's World Cup. Fox Sports 1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. You know, we started this race with 49 laps of green flag racing. That's almost 125 miles. And since lap 70, the longest green flag stretch we've had is 14 laps.
That's kind of how it goes here. Once you get them all bunched up late in the race and everybody's fighting for a position. And listen, if you're back in there and you can get by 3 or 4 guys and get clear of some cars, you can run. Most likely you can hold your position. So you know you've got to make those moves on these long straightaways on these restarts.
Now Joey Logano will start alongside Martin Truex on the front row, Matt.
Great recovery from that pit road speeding penalty earlier. Now looking at their fuel, remember, they were about 3 laps short, but now with the cautions, they are good to go. In fact, Todd Gordon told me they are good to go even if we get a green-white checkered.
And Mike and Daryl, since we've been running 160 laps, 400 milers here, the 3 June races, the trend says a caution roughly 149, 11 to go.
This is like one of those races where Neil Bonnet told me in the broadcast booth. I said, Neil, who do you think's going to win? He says, pace car's got a good shot at it. 16 laps to go. We're watching Kevin Harvick on the left as he comes up through the gears. Green flag. Truex is out of here.
You heard Harvick on that restart, Mike. He leaves it in 3rd gear all the way down into the first turn on that restart because he hadn't got the RPM up where he needs them to be. That's how high that gear is. He didn't even have to shift it back to high gear. He just wound it all the way out in 3rd gear.
Kevin Harvick clears Jamie McMurray, who you see just in front of pole sitter Kurt Busch.
Well, all
Jimmy
I know,
Johnson second.
We've been talking about Joey Logano. We've been talking about Kevin Harvick, but there Jimmy Johnson is in that 48 car. He's taken second away with 15 to go.
Jamie?
And remember, he brushed the wall in the right rear. He's now smelling a little bit of smoke and think the crush panel is pushed in. But under caution, Jack and Al said, what do you think, Jimmy? Jimmy said, what do we have to lose? I'm staying out.
And a crush panel is just a panel that keeps the cockpit sealed to the tire area, like in the rear quarter panels and in behind the front tires.
It's a wheel well, basically, is what it is. It's funny that the 48 and the 22, the 2 cars that got into each other and bounced off the wall pretty good, are holding their own. Here comes Kevin Harvick down underneath Joey Logano across the short chute to make that pass. That high gear that we're talking about in the 4 car, once he gets going, is probably a benefit, but he just can't get going on these restarts.
14 laps to go. New Jersey's Martin Truex trying to seal the deal for the first time this season.
Mike, and he is picking them up and putting them down. A 51.23 to a 51.76 on Johnson.
In a 51.23, that's the fastest lap he's run all day long.
Fast as he is after it right now. And you can see it. I mean, he's gapping Jimmy Johnson every straightaway and every turn.
Now, Larry, that's the fastest lap anybody's run all day long.
It is. Yes, it is. Over 175 miles per hour average.
Might want to hold a little wee bit in the bank just in case we have another restart. I wouldn't want to use it all up right here, although, you know, you got to do what you got to do. But once I had me a nice cushion here, I might hold it a little. I might save a little.
Here's Truex's best friend right now, Kevin Harvick, filling up the rearview mirror of Jimmy Johnson, and that's increasing the gap first to second to 2 seconds as these two battle for second.
Yeah, that lap, Martin Truex run a 51.49. Johnson fighting off Harvick, 52.16.
Not for long. Here comes that 4 car around Jimmy Johnson up off of turn 1 over there down the back chute. Little drag race here. Clears him in front of him. sets his sights on 78 car, which is a long way out there.
2.4 seconds, first to second with 12.5 laps to go.
Well, I know Cole Pern, the crew chief, was celebrating a caution earlier. Right now, he's celebrating 12.5 laps of green flag racing.
Dale Jr. inside Casey Mears. That's for 13th. They're about 8.5 seconds back.
Let's see what the lap times are this time. There goes the 78 of 51.51. Harvick of 52.15. So he opened that lead up a little bit more.
Kurt Busch just ahead of Matt Kenseth for 6th.
It's just going to be another one of those days for the 4 car. Probably going to run 2nd. The 78 car has been flawless today, man. The only trouble they had was that little bit of hiccup in the pits. Everything else has been all go.
Martin Truex Jr. grew up a track rat. His dad, Martin, very successful in the Busch North Series. His uncle Barney, very successful with the New Jersey Modifieds. The Truexes have been drivers and owners. They're in the fishing business. They supply seafood to a lot of the names you know of America's restaurant chains. But Martin, he's a race driver, and a good one.
Harvick picked up a couple of tenths that time, a 55 to a 34.
With coming to 10 laps to go, Martin Truex Jr. has about a 2.5 second lead.
Kurt Busch has caught Jamie McMurray for 5th.
You hear him shifting over the tunnel turn there. Something that you might want to do now late in the race, trying to make up some time. Back into 3rd gear to come off turn 3 here. He's hustling.
Nobody's saving fuel now.
No, he's hustling it.
2.4 first to second. Truex to Harvick now.
Harvick was just a little wee bit quicker that lap, but not much.
Matt?
Mike, the turnaround for Martin Truex Jr. really began with 2 races to go last fall. Cole Pern started to call the races for Truex. Over the winter, every crew member looked within themselves, trying to figure out how they can make this team overall better. Martin also realized the role he plays, the tone he sets, and he has faith in these guys that if they get off track or if there's a mistake, they can recover. We've seen that so many times this year. But Cole told me the confidence that Martin has in it is enormous, and it's carrying over. Once again, 4 straight races, he has just led so many laps.
Here are his 5 pit stops today. A lot of Canadian fans come to Pocono. Cole Pern, only the 2nd full-time Canadian crew chief in NASCAR.
But you can see the last 2 that they needed is when they rose to the occasion, especially when all drivers hit pit road there at lap 122 and changed 4 tires, and they maintained, and that has been the difference making when you see they had issues earlier in the race.
That 0 right there, they neither gained nor lost. Came in first, went out first.
Yeah, you couldn't gain. You just needed to maintain.
Kurt Busch goes to 5th, the pole sitter. Coming back toward the front, restarted 6th. He's now 7 seconds back of the lead, ahead of McMurray and Kenseth.
Quite honestly, most of these drivers right now, they're thinking, I hope there's not another restart. Because I don't know if I can take another restart or not. You just get in so much trouble when they're all bunched up like that.
Brendan Gaughan's taking his Chevy to the garage, where he'll join A.J. Allmendinger, Ryan Newman, Sam Hornish, and Eric Almirola.
Now, I will say, with 8 to go, Kevin Harvick, he has chopped off a half a second over the last couple of 2 and 2.5 laps off of Martin Truex Jr.'s lead.
I'm just wondering, Larry, I know if I was driving that 78 car, I'd say, man, I got to save a little wee bit just in case I got another restart in me. There may be another restart. I like it if I do, because I know that the 4 car is struggling on restarts, but I need a little something just in case.
You know, Dale, you made the point about Kevin Harvick finishing 2nd. If he finishes 1st or 2nd in this race, it would be 10 top 2 finishes in the 14 races this year. That's unbelievable.
It's incredible.
Most consistent car along with the 48. Oh, trouble off turn 3 here. It's Danica down pit road.
Saves it. We stay green.
Shouldn't need a caution. No problem.
She had just been lapped by Martin Truex and spun off turn 3. She's headed for her pit. No caution.
Yeah, really and truly, I mean, the car is it's broken down in the back. There's no spoiler to speak of on that thing. It's got to be hard to hang on to.
Daryl, with interest rates near 0, if I'm Martin Truex, I'm not saving anything. Saving is not going to pay off for him here.
You're probably right. I just know that Kevin Harvick, and he's gaining, and he's gaining every lap now. He's cut that lead down a little bit every lap.
And if this maintains, that was another 2/10 the lap before this. Let's see what happens this time with 6 laps to go.
1.9.
Maintain that time. Harvick didn't gain, didn't lose. That's exactly what Truex needed right there, because at 2/10 of a lap per lap, it was going to be right down to the final lap if he can maintain that.
And I know you say, well, you say you got to go hard, and then you say, no, you got to save a little bit. And that's the dilemma a driver's faced with. I got to go hard to keep him in my rearview mirror, but I also got to remember that what if there's another green? What if there's a green-white checker? I got to have a little bit left if I can.
And the good thing with coming to 5 laps to go, Martin Truex Jr. in his 78 has a pretty clear racetrack in front of him.
Harvick's gained a 10th, 1.8. That won't be enough of a pace to make up the difference.
5 to go, but man, that lead looks like it shrunk that lap.
1.77.
Yeah, he picked up about a 1/10 and a half that time, Harvick did.
Martin Truex just has to run time trial laps. That lap he ran at lap 146 was his fastest lap of the whole weekend, practice and qualifying included.
Yeah, we're to the point now, Harvick would have to gain 0.3 of a second per lap to get there now.
So would you repeat that, please? You want me to run qualifying laps after I've been out here all day long, my tires are worn, and you want me to run the fastest laps I've run all day?
Keep your eye on the prize. Yes, I do.
And I'm sure Truex has no problem doing that.
I know one thing you do not want to do. Don't look back.
No. Take that mirror and break it off or fold it down.
Because they always told me when you're looking back, you're losing time.
It's true. Kurt Busch still trying to get back to the front. He has caught Joey Logano. This is for 4th place. Behind them, McMurray's caught Kenseth for 6th. Still a lot of good battles here with 4 to go.
I'm sure if Matt Kenseth can come out of here with a top 10, he'll feel like he won the race, considering his record here over the last few years.
Right, he's not had a top 20 here since joining Joe Gibbs Racing. Is that right?
Right, and even the race before he joined Joe Gibbs was not a top 20.
No, this is one of Matt's, really, numbers-wise, one of his worst racetracks.
Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr., 12th. He's closing in on Greg Biffle, the leader of Roush Fenway Racing. Biffle close to a top 10 here. He is 11th. Right now, Earnhardt looking in 12th with 3 to go. And Kevin Harvick made no inroads on Martin Truex that last lap. Still 1.77 or so.
Yeah, Daryl, to your point earlier, let spotter Clayton Hughes tell Truex what's going on behind you. You just focus on what's out that windshield.
And Martin Truex just got a nice break for the 34 car. He was able to draft up on him, and then the 34 slid up out of the way going into turn 1, and that just gave Martin a clearer track, and I think it actually helped his lap time a little bit.
Harvick gains half a 10th on that lap as Dale Jr. moves into 11th ahead of Biffle. 1.7 seconds.
Yeah, and Kevin Harvick has about a 7.5 to 8 second lead over Jimmy Johnson in that 48 that's back in 3rd.
And Mike, quite honestly, Larry, that's about how good the 78 car has been all day. He's just been a little bit better than Kevin Harvick in the 4 car all day long, a 10th or 2.
Now, the flag that Truex really wants to see is the checkered flag, but this next flag is not a bad flag because once he takes the white, it's a race if we get a caution. He just has to make it back around to the checkered flag.
And trust me, that's all he's thinking about right now. Just please let me get off turn 3. Let me get back down there to that start-finish line. And then I don't care what happens.
White flag, 78.
Don't celebrate yet now. You got to get all the way around this big joint.
And Harvick has cut it to a 2.5 seconds.
This joint is big.
It is. And
it's a long way to go.
Came off turn one time leading the race and didn't make it back on the white flag.
He's got clean racetrack in front of him. No traffic to deal with whatsoever.
And you see that dynamic interval. That is showing you first to second at the top of the screen. Last win for Truex Sonoma, 2013. Almost 2 full seasons to go. Trying to become the 10th driver to win in 2015.
Boy, he slowed it. He slowed her down getting into turn 3 that time. Got plenty of room between he and Kevin Harvick. And here he comes. Good job, boys. Good job.
Martin Truex Jr. wins Pocono for his 3rd Sprint Cup triumph.
Yeah, man, I'm proud of you. Good job. Yeah, baby, yeah! Hell of a job, guys. Awesome. Yeah.
Girlfriend Sherry Pollux wipes away a tear. A lot of hugs up on that pit box.
And I'm happy for that man right there, Cole Pern. He looked at me Friday and said, Larry, I'm not sure I can call winning strategy. I said, yes, you can. It gets hard when you have a race car that fast.
Saturday afternoon, Larry, I saw Cole Pern and Martin going to the Martin's coach over there with a notebook about the size of one of yours, and they said they were going in there to figure out what they need to do to that car to win this race today.
They must have figured right.
They figured it out.
Kevin Harvick is 2nd, Jimmy Johnson 3rd, Joey Logano and Kurt Busch the top 5. Matt?
Mike, today means so much for so many within the organization of the 78 team. And for you, this team has had such a statement race the past 4 weeks, over 450 laps. What does this day mean the most to you?
I'm just happy for Martin, happy for Barney. You know, I mean, he's put a tremendous amount of effort into building this team to what it is today. And he decided this morning not to come today, which is unbelievable because when we won Darlington, he wasn't here either. So, I don't know. We thought he was our good luck charm for a lot of years or a lot of time this season. So, but I know he's watching at home, and we're super proud of him. Just happy for Martin and Sherry, everything they've gone through. It's just awesome. Just happy for all our guys too.
A year of first-timers, a UP from Michigan, Greg Ives, and now a Canadian, Cole Pern, going to victory lane. First time Sprint Cup crew chief winner.
Wow. Well, you wonder, is burnt rubber the essence of racing? Sunoco fueling another victory. This time for Martin Truex Jr.
It's a brand new car. I mean, these guys have done everything right.
And they finally close the deal. Well done. Coming up, we'll have complete post-race coverage on Fox Sports Live. Right now, let's join Ryan Field and Don Bell.
All right, guys, thank you. Welcome to Fox Sports Live. Don Bell hanging out with Ryan Field. We're sending you back out to Pocono in seconds for Victory Lane ceremony.
Coming up, the inspiring story of one crew member who refuses to slow down at the track and in the fight for his life.
Plus, we'll take you out to Oracle Arena for a live preview of Game 2 of the NBA Finals. But now, we go back to Mike Joy at Pocono.
Thanks, fellas. Martin Truex Jr. becomes the 41st driver to win a Sprint Cup race at Pocono. Richard Petty in 1974 was the first. This season, he's finished in the top 10 in all but one of the 14 races. He only had 5 top 10 finishes in all of last year. And once again, the bridesmaid is with Jamie Little.
And Kevin Harvick came in. Everybody was pointing at this 4 car as the car to beat, but it just seemed like on restarts, that's where the 78 got away.
Yeah, we just couldn't go on restarts. We would lug really bad in 3rd gear and just kind of have to go into defense mode. Struggled in turn 1 with splitter on the ground, but all in all, just good job by my Budweiser team. Just things aren't lining up to win races right now, but all in all, everybody's doing a great job. I'm really happy for Martin. I know he went through a lot, and for him and Sherry, that if you're gonna lose to somebody today, that's a great person to lose to.
Well said. 10th top 2 finish for Kevin Harvick, Mike.
But just remind him what Harry Gant always said after that long string of second-place finishes. Hey, second place pays pretty good, too.
Yeah, I never like to hear that that's first loser, because in our business, that isn't true.
Sherry Pollux, longtime girlfriend of Martin Truex Jr. She's had her battles with cancer. Martin lost his grandmother early this week. She passed on Wednesday. Been quite a tumultuous week for this entire team, their family and extended family. Now there's the thrill of victory.
How about that? This has got to be one of the most popular victories in a long time.
And it's a home track win. Yes, Dover is closest to his home, but Pocono might be a shorter drive from Mayetta, New Jersey. Chad Knaus offering congratulations. Joe Garone there with Cole Pern.
I mean, look at all the crew chiefs coming and other crew members congratulating Cole Pern. There's only one first win, and that's what Cole Pern will remember about this win here at Pocono today.
Rick Hendrick offers his congratulations.
Yeah.
I think that was Doug Rickert.
What a great feeling of accomplishment that Cole Pern has got to feel right now, to take this team and do what he's done with it in a short period of time that he's been in charge of it. What a deal.
A single car team based way outside the NASCAR homeland in Denver, Colorado is sitting in victory lane in Pennsylvania. Here's Chris Neville.
And Martin Truex Jr. finally comes down from his car. Oh, big hug and a kiss from his girlfriend, Sherry Pollux, down here.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Woo!
Martin, what a year it has been. You finally get into victory lane. Everything you've been through personally, professionally, how does this win feel?
That feels unbelievable. Just I can't thank all these guys enough on the Furniture Row Chevrolet. Just what a great group of guys. And you know, I knew we were going to get one. Everybody kept asking, when are you going to win? When are you going to win? What's going on? I knew we had the team. I knew we had what it took. Just had to get things to play out the way we needed them to. And I feel like I'm on cloud nine right now. So just awesome. Just awesome. Thanks to Barney Vista, Furniture Row, Sprint, the fans, everybody. Everybody that's made this possible. Last year and a half's been tough. This feels pretty dang good.
5 restarts and Kevin Harvick stalking him in the last 10 laps. Martin Truex Jr. comes home the winner.
Hey, thanks very much. Back with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, and this is a terrific story. I mean, this is an underdog driver. I know he's led the most laps in the last 4 races, including today. Single-car team, referred to the owner, Barney Visser, based in Denver, not with the rest of the teams in North Carolina. It's been a couple of years since he ran for Michael Waltrip Racing. Worked through a sports psychologist. It was about a year ago when Sherry, you saw his girlfriend, battled cancer and is doing quite well, knock on wood. He's talked to us about that. And just coming so close, fighting against the odds, and finally celebrating Martin Truex Jr. And there is Sherry embracing the moment.
You know, I know Martin well, and to see him happy and laughing and smiling, you could just feel the weight lifting off of his shoulders. And he's in victory lane. He's locked in to the chase. He's going to be added to our chase standing. Going to run for a championship is Martin Truex Jr.
Yes, and I'm sure he's proud of the fact he doesn't have to point his way in. Remember, the concept is the goal anyway, win and you're in. So now 10 spots are filled with the drivers who won races, and Jimmy in great position because he's won 4, even though he had a rough day today. So only 6 spots are open with 12 races to go until we get to the chase.
But 14th, 15th, and 16th, Chris, made this very interesting. All 3 of those drivers having serious issues today that brought a lot of other racers to battle for those last couple of spots if we don't get 16 winners.
And Jimmy Johnson never led a lap today, but he wound up 3rd, standing by, looking on at the celebration, talking with our Jamie Little.
Well, what an eventful day for Jimmy Johnson. Once again, you had damage. You blew a tire. You got into the wall later, but you opted to stay out and you bring it home 3rd. How did you make that happen?
Just never giving up, I guess. This is a great race team, a great race car. I think the 78 and the 4 had more pace than anyone else, but to be in that next group of cars, leading the next group of cars with a car that's right side knocked off it, splitter missing up front, a good result. So plenty of challenges today for our Lowe's team. Also want to say thank you to Lowe's for allowing me to put the Jimmy Johnson Foundation on the side of the race car. We gave it a great run. Our Blue Bunny Helmet of Hope had a lot of success with the 5 charities on it. 3rd's not the end of the world, so we'll take it. We'll go on to the next one.
One of your biggest fans, Bo, that you met last week with a big hug. You took it upon yourself to find him and bring him here today. What was it like hanging out with him pre-race?
Yeah, it was great. Sorry we kind of hid him from you. I know that you were eager to see him if he was coming, but
Just such a special moment last week, and we reached out to his family this week, and they wanted to come and be a part of what we did here in Pocono. So to see him, spend some more time with him today was incredible. What a wonderful spirit he has, awesome parents. Blessed to get to know him a little bit over the last 2 weekends. Certainly want to say hello to my girls at home. On my way, I'll see you soon.
Hats off to you to bring Bo. Everybody loved seeing him.
Well, Kurt Busch started the day from the pole, and at times it looked like you guys had worked yourself back in contention for a win, but the restart's the biggest hindrance for you today, Kurt?
I think we did everything fairly well. We just didn't do anything exceptionally well. The car was a little bit of a handful on cold tires. Took to about lap 5, and then we were pretty good. Restarts, we didn't quite get the transmission right. And it's a matter of teamwork and finding out everything we can do better at this point to be stronger when we come back here in August. But thanks to Stewart-Haas Racing and everybody that chips in to make this car what it is. It's fun to drive, and we had a great journeyman type day, a 5th place finish. So thanks to Haas Automation, Chevrolet with the in-car camera, Monster Energy, State Water Heaters. We got a lot of great partners and a lot to be proud of.
5th top 5 here at Pocono in the last 8 races.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings it home 11th, and he's antsy to get to victory lane. One of your best friends, Martin Truex Jr., finally gets it done. What is the emotion for you as a friend?
I'm just happy for him. I know he's been through a lot of stuff inside the car and outside the car over the last several years. He's dreamed to be able to be in a good opportunity with good people. He's got a team that believes in him. They came a long way over the last several years working with Kurt and building that program up, and they continue to get better. And I was in the stall next to those guys during qualifying. They're how they are as a team and how they interact with each other really impressed me. So Martin's in a good situation. It's real refreshing. But look forward to going over there and saying hey to him. And the Nationwide Chevrolet was fast today. We had a lot of fun out there, passed a lot of cars. I made a mistake, or I don't know what really happened on the back straightaway. 2 come off the wall like he almost hit it. I yanked to the left to not run into him and hit the 5. So just racing hard. Got to get everything you can get. Can't give up anything. Had a lot of race car, and I was trying to use it.
Thanks, Junior. Go celebrate with your buddy. Chris?
And now Martin Truex, they're buddies from way back. 165 miles from Marietta, New Jersey is Pocono, and a 400-mile performance today that will change things dramatically for Martin Truex Jr. because now he can race differently knowing that he's in the chase.
Yeah, talking to Carl Edwards after winning Charlotte, you would have thought it was his first victory ever after a long drought because he was so happy. He said we can just focus on winning a championship now. We can test, we can practice, we can work our way toward the chase knowing we're in. That's where Truex is right now. And Chris, if they get any more performance out of that single car team, they're going to be hard to beat.
A big day for his Chevrolet. He led the final 27 laps. He had to lead or restarts 4 different times and hold off Kevin Harvick, who's been outstanding this year. Let's get some final thoughts from Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Well, I'm thinking back a year and a half ago, Truex left his embattled team and the NASCAR mainland to go out on that island in Denver, Colorado, and only had 5 top 10s last year. He's had top 10s in every one but one race this year, and now gets to victory lane. If you knew everything this young man and his family and his racing family had been through, you'd be crying tears of happiness for him, as I'm about to.
Yeah, no, I literally feel the same way. To see Martin last year, we didn't talk about Martin Truex last year, and when we did, it wasn't ever anything good. Things that they were, having personal problems, race car not running well, and all of a sudden this year, he and Cole Pern, they get together, they come out of the box running good. They built him a brand new car. He wins the race. They got a new car next week. They're on it.
Yes, they are. And I think this is going to be such a popular win in the garage area because I think you've heard it with the drivers that we've interviewed. You've seen it with the crew chiefs that congratulated Cole Pern because there you see Dale Earnhardt Jr. He couldn't wait to get to victory lane. But Cole Pern, there's only one first win, and this is a day that Cole Pern will remember forever. But I promise you there's going to be more for he and Martin Truex Jr.
I feel the same way.
Been a great day here in Pocono for a whole lot of reasons, and that's one of the best right there in victory lane. Let's join Matt Yoakum.
A nice recovery by Joey Logano from that early pit road speeding penalty. But what did you need at the end to make a run at Truex?
A lot more speed in our car and maybe a caution. I felt like I was in a good position, lined up fourth there at the outside lane. Seemed like you can get up to second with it, but second wasn't going to be good enough. And those guys have been so fast, 78 and 4. They were rocket ships today, and really all weekend they've been really fast. So just got to figure out a way to get our Shell Pennzoil Ford faster. We did a good job recovering from really Friday when we unloaded and getting our car to be a top 5 car. That was a great recovery. And after the speeding penalty and starting last and all that, a top 5 doesn't sound that bad.
All right, 5th top 10 over the past 4 years here at Pocono for Logano.
Joey Logano will go to Michigan. You'll see it on Fox Sports 1 as the race team of Martin Truex Jr., a 15-to-1 betting choice in Las Vegas. He did have the top speed fastest lap, just over 175 miles per hour. Him and Harvick were trading that much of the afternoon. But in Michigan, again, we're back in that Hendrick company because that's where Jimmy Johnson won last year.
What a racetrack Michigan is. It's a test of speed. You're going to see a lot of the same, though. It seems like the Chevys are really strong, especially on the bigger tracks. But remember, Brad Keselowski made a daring move late in the race in California on that 2-mile track to grab the victory out there. So look for the Fords to be tough, too.
Greg Biffle has won 4. That's the most of any active driver at Michigan. And Brad Keselowski's never won at Michigan. Next week, NASCAR on Fox Sports 1. The Quicken Loans 400 as Jimmy Johnson will look to defend his title from last year. The coverage beginning at 11:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Then remember the off week for Cup racing, and then we're in Sonoma, which you will also see on Fox Sports 1. That's the last place that Martin Truex won before today. 69 races in between. An outstanding performance for one of the underdog drivers who cashes in. And, they talk about going to the wine country in a couple of weeks. He'll be celebrating with more than that. He already is here at Pocono for our entire gang. An exciting finish for Martin Truex Jr. And glad you're watching NASCAR on Fox Sports 1. And the winner from Denver, Colorado, by way of New Jersey and Pocono, Martin Truex Jr. Now let's go back to Los Angeles. Fox Sports Live with Don Bell and Ryan Field.